Hello, everyone. We're back. I'm Serge. I'm joined by once again Ian. Ian, hello.
Hello.
Right. So, happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I guess I think this will come out probably after the New Year's. This will be the last episode for the season 1 of the show. Hope you guys had a good year. Played a lot of games. We played a bunch of games on this show. We're gonna wrap this season by talking about what we've been playing recently, but also we're gonna talk about the recent game awards, and then we'll kind of conclude with our own small list of awards that are themed appropriately for us, and then we'll play the games for this episode. At the end, we're not gonna announce new games for the next episode. We're gonna keep it as a surprise. We're gonna probably take a break before season 2 comes out, and we'll talk about a bit more about that at the end of the show. Right, I think the thing we probably should be talking about is the a bunch of fighting games we've played recently. That's kind of the main thing for us. I think this time we got together with Ian and played a bunch of fighting games. Games we've played before and a couple maybe new ones.
Should we just rattle through the list of what we played?
If you have a list in front of you, we can do that. The games like Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter, I've played them before, and I think there will always be games that I'll play if they're on the table, but I'll probably never gravitate towards them. Something about each of them individually that kind of isn't my thing, I guess. I'll always play them with people, but I'll probably always also kind of prefer other types of fighting games. We also played, was it Garo? Was it
Garo Mark of the Wolves? Yeah.
That was a good one. I've also played this before, but I feel like last time I kind of connected with it a bit more, and it's really surprising how playable, really. It's an older game, isn't it?
Yeah, from the tail end of the 90s. But there was certainly a point where fighting games, 2D fighting games at least, crystallized, and the sprite art got very good, which holds up really well today, better than a lot of the early 3D stuff, I think.
It's pretty accessible as well, considering the game's age and how niche it is. I think you mentioned that they're making a new one as well.
They are, yeah. After 20 some odd years, there was a sequel that was planned back in the day, and SNK went bankrupt in the early 2000s. The sequel got canceled. SNK has been sort of lingering in various states ever since then. And in recent years, they have a lot more money. They've been putting out more games, and they're finally doing this sort of long-awaited sequel, which is going to be in 3D. So it's going to look more like their more recent stuff, which is kind of 3D that looks, emulates the style of their 2D stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the look, but the new games play pretty well, so I'm reasonably looking forward to the next Fatal Fury Garo game.
Okay, that sounds good. Definitely something to pay attention to. Going back to the Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter, do you think, as someone who likes them more than I do you think they need to change anything about themselves if like a new game would be coming out, especially Virtua Fighter? Obviously that one is a bit older. Or do you think they are as good as they are and they should just stay the same?
Well, if you're going to make something new, it's got to change to some extent. Virtua Fighter, there hasn't been a new Virtua Fighter in a long time. There's been sort of updates to VF5. But when I think about new mechanics or ways that you could tweak Virtua Fighter, it's tricky because Virtua Fighter it's very bare bones. It's maybe one of the best bare bones fighting games, but it doesn't have a ton of extra mechanics cooked into it. So like the new Tekken, for example, is adding, I believe it's adding super meters and things like that. I don't think you can just graft those mechanics onto a game like VF, which is so driven by its fundamentals. And I think it's been so long that maybe they need to take things in a different direction.
Maybe, but also you were saying when we were playing it, you mentioned that you kind of have to look at them differently, like in a different way from games like latest Tekkens and Street Fighters, where it's a lot more about positioning and waiting for the perfect attack. Obviously that's also part of any fighting game, right? But it's it did feel like it was a bit more the case in those games where you really didn't have a lot of tools at your disposal. You were kind of almost forced to think about those other things, right? Can feel a bit bare bones, but I think if you have the right mindset for it, it can be something like of a niche type of fighting game for sure.
Not even niche. I mean, these games are
Well,
quite popular.
yeah, not niche, I guess, but niche way of playing. A fighting game is not niche, but a niche way of kind of playing that type of game. Like if you take like even the latest Virtua Fighter and then put it next to Tekken 8, like Tekken 8 is like on steroids. It's so different.
Well, because there's 15 years between them, right?
Well, yeah.
You got to compare it more to like Tekken 5.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, and Dead or Alive played. I think we played 5. It's fine. Again, it's never going to be my cup of tea. I think that game relies a lot on like just smashing button a lot, and characters doing way more than they should with very little input.
Dead or Alive?
Dead or Alive, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Some people deride it as shallow. It's very much about the rock paper scissors of what you're going to do against the opponent and how opponents are going to react. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, to fake people out. People think you're going to do something and then mess with them, grab their strike or things like that. So I would hesitate to call it shallow. I mean, is it Third Strike? Is it Tekken? Not necessarily, but that's probably not the intention. I think it's better than. I think a lot of people look down on it because of the sex appeal and the fan service, right? Which sells it a bit short. At the end of the day, I think it's just a really fun game.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm not even touching that subject. It can be both a good game and have all that, to be honest.
But I think generally people sort of roll their eyes a bit. Casual onlookers roll their eyes or assume that they're not going to enjoy the game because of that stuff. Because that's all that people talk about at the end of the day. But
sure.
But if you look at it, it is sort of a slightly zanier Virtua Fighter that is maybe a bit easier to jump into. Has a ton of modes, ton of content. Maybe a bit easier to just get going and do easy combos and things like that. Maybe a better jumping point into that kind of 3D fighter.
I was gonna say, it does feel like that game is essentially the spiritual successor to Virtua Fighter. It felt really similar. I would say a bit quicker and a bit more going on. Again, a lot of that stuff is any fighting game, but in Tekken, for example, you can do such a long juggle combo that you can pretty much kind of destroy 70% of someone's HP bar if you're good enough with certain characters. So those games kind of sometimes end up having way different types of matches in Street Fighter as well. Make one mistake, make two mistakes, and suddenly you're done. Someone just comboed you to death. Feels like that's not really something you could often do in those other games.
Yeah.
We also played Guilty Gear. I think we played the Xrd, right?
Xrd, yeah.
Yeah, so I played this before. This wasn't my first time, but every time I play it, I'm always pleasantly surprised how, even though the Xrd is considered to be one of the harder ones to get into, it still felt. It just goes to show how well it's crafted. Arc System Works, great developer, really knows how to make these games. And even though I only played a couple of times, so I essentially didn't know any moves, but it still was fun to play. And as complicated as it was, I still enjoyed it, and I'll be checking out the latest one's Drive and maybe get into the game.
Yeah, I've got this theory that game designers have a tendency to think that simpler is better, or that removing. If you look at a game like Guilty Gear, it has so much stuff going on. It has so many mechanics that could be intimidating for new players. And while that is true, if you compare a game that is absolutely loaded with stuff like Guilty Gear versus a game that is incredibly stripped back and bare bones like Virtua Fighter, I think that a game like Guilty Gear is probably easier to get into, because Virtua Fighter is so stripped back. It is so fundamentals based. You don't have all these extra systems to help you. Whereas Guilty Gear has so much going on that you can often use these extra systems to give you sort of a crutch to stand on. And also these systems can often point towards ways of playing and ways of thinking about things. When you don't have all those extra systems, then the only way to learn is to just by getting really good at the fundamentals, which I kind of think come later. I feel like the fundamentals are almost something. There's so much to learn in fighting games that you can kind of worry more about the footsies and worry more about the neutral game once you've sort of picked up the basics. And for a lot of people, they want to go in and they want to hammer buttons and they want to watch combos go off. And it lets them, just by making that stuff easy, it lets them focus on a few things one bit at a time, which you can't do in a game like Virtua Fighter, because you just have to know everything there is to know in a fighting game right from the get-go.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up. Do you think that high skill level games, fighting games, are actually for the benefit of anyone that wants to get into them, because they don't allow you to just button mash and just play them like that. They want you to learn them. They almost demand it. I think a lot of people will say, and certainly from the accessibility point of view nowadays especially, that this is like a flaw of the game. You have to have a lot of accessible thing. The game itself has to be accessible.
Just helping them get there, right? I think the new Street Fighter is a really good example of how they have this whole story-driven single-player mode for people who are maybe a bit afraid to just jump into training modes and learn the systems, and you pick up so much of the game just through osmosis of playing it through other ways that by the time you actually sit down and try some ranked matches online, or by the time you get into the training mode, you already understand a lot of the basics just through intuition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, the new Guilty Gear game, it did become simpler, isn't it? Like Strive compared to XR.
I have been told that. I'm not versed enough in Guilty Gear to really know why that is, but take everyone else's word for it. I think what's nice about what Arc System Works has done is they have preserved the other titles. So they've patched the older Guilty Gear games with rollback netcode. So if you aren't into the new one, or if you would just prefer to play one of the older ones, they still keep updating them to have really good online play, like for free. They have free updates. So it's okay for these games to sit alongside each other, right? It's do you take the Tekken approach where every title is iterative, and for better or worse, Tekken gameplay doesn't change. Legacy skill is hugely valued. You jump into the next one, and the next Tekken game, and it's the same art style with better graphics. It's got more content. All of your characters are there. Returning characters are there with new ones. All their moves and everything are there. All the systems are largely the same, with just new features added onto it. And then you've got like the Street Fighter and Guilty Gear approach, where every game is kind of different and they sit alongside each other. And like Capcom and Arc System Works will update and maintain the old titles to sit alongside the new ones because they're offering different experiences. One isn't necessarily better than the other, but that's the approach that Arc's gone.
I was wondering if it was the same approach as Street Fighter, because I thought that maybe it was more like a Tekken, because they pretty much have more or less the same characters, but I guess maybe something in between where they do have mostly the same characters with each title, but they kind of try to maybe play around with the systems and stuff like that.
It's 50-50. I would say that most of the thinking about Xrd, I think maybe half of those characters are in Strive, and there's a lot of new ones. And the DLC characters are a mix of returning favorites and new ones.
Yeah. Well, we finished up with the playing Tekken 8 demo that came out, played on PS5. Man, straight away it felt like home for me.
Well, you should mention that we came off of playing some other Tekken games first.
Oh right, sorry. Yes, let's.
The whiplash of going from, we played Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 because they were on PlayStation Plus, so just a subscription. So we just grabbed whatever Tekken stuff was available. So in that case, it was Tekken 1 and 2, the PS1 versions, and then Tekken 8. And going from Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 to Tekken 8, I mean, Serge, you played a lot of Tekken 2, right? So what was it like returning to that game and then going to Tekken 8?
I mean, I remember Tekken really well, even the older ones, so it wasn't really... I mean, the only thing that kind of, refreshed my memory, maybe I forgot a bit, is that how floaty everyone was. It's like you were on the moon, and how unresponsive that game is, actually. I mean, look, Tekken 2, depending on where you're playing it, if you're like maybe in the 90s in the arcades in Japan, it's like the most responsive thing ever. But playing it today in 2023 in my bedroom on a PS5, it felt like some moves I was doing that just weren't coming out. Like some of the movements I was trying to do also just were so stiff. Look, it's just a piece of history. it's not a game you should be playing today, to be honest. It definitely aged worse than, let's say, even Street Fighter 2, right, in comparison. I think what was more surprising, and you're forgetting, is that we also tried to play Tekken 6 on PSN. And to our surprise, the Tekken 6 on PSN is the PSP version. Now, I can't think of, like, honestly, even as a developer, I can't think of any reason. Maybe like some sort of licensing, right? But
I think it's why, because there's no emulation for the PS3, right?
Right. But there is a way to play PS3 games on PS5 nowadays. They literally you can stream them. There's so many titles you can play on PS5.
Oh, yeah, I suppose if you would like to stream Tekken,
Right.
I don't think that would be a good way to play
Well, do you think?
with all the input lag.
Okay, they didn't bother putting Tekken 5 or 4.
Yeah, the PS2 emulation is pretty limited on PS5 as well, right?
I guess. I mean, again, there's a way of playing it, and also at the end of the day, let's say there is some sort of latency issue, but you can still play it single player practice just for the sake of it, like we tried to do. Like, literally, that evening would have been the perfect for Tekken 6 to exist in some proper way on PS5 for us, because we weren't playing online. There was it wasn't a tournament. It was just two guys trying to play some older Tekken games, and it was just not an option for us. It just doesn't exist anywhere. Tekken 3, 4, 5, 6 is nowhere where you can play them today. Which, again, I don't want to kind of launch us into the preservation discussion, but this is like a very good example of what the hell do you do? How do you whip out your and a PS3 just to play them?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's like with all the things they've added to PS5, PSN, which is a lot. They still haven't managed to find a way to Tekken. I'm sorry, Tekken is such a PlayStation title. It was the face of PlayStation for so many years. Obviously, it's on different consoles nowadays, but that's where it's home in my mind. It has been for many years, and I think Sony should have been They should have put way more effort into making sure that these games are available to play for you today on PS5.
Well, so Sony's lagging behind Xbox hugely when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. So
like I actually own an Xbox One, and one of the reasons why I keep it around is for backwards compatibility, because I own, as an example, I own the first 4 Dead or Alive games, all in the original, or all on my Xbox One, which emulate on the system, and it actually emulates better than the fan emulation solution right now for the Xbox and the Xbox 360. So it's probably the best way of, and it upscales to, I just have a base Xbox One, but it upscales to like 1080p from like 480p into widescreen perfectly. So it's probably the best official way of playing all those old games, and you get them all in one system. It's a great approach. I wish Sony had that with their PS1, PS2 stuff.
Yeah, so we checked those games, 1, 2, and then we played 6. We launched it. We couldn't even... Oh, yeah, so another thing about the thing about the Tekken 6 on PSP version is that we couldn't play it together. There was no way for us to play a versus battle. It just had, like, arcade or maybe online, but if you're just in the same room, there was no option for you to play it with your friend, which is insane. That's the most egregious thing there, I think.
There's no split screen on the PSP, right? There's no there are no 2 controllers. They would have to emulate some kind of system link functionality.
So we kind of just closed that immediately and tried Tekken 8. In the end, Tekken 8 demo came out, felt really good, really snappy, really just exactly what I want from the new Tekken. The moves look awesome as fuck. You can play as Kazuya, Jin, Paul, and Nina. They all felt really nice, and it's coming out soon at the end of January, I think, actually. You'll be hearing more from us on that game. Both of us like it, and it just felt nice, really. We haven't gotten too deep into the systems. You can't really go into trading or anything like that. It was just versus, and there's 4 characters, so we just played around. But it felt nice. I even that new mechanic of kind of using that special move to kind of push away the character, and like then your character runs in. I'm sure it will open up a lot of ways to kind of engage in combat in that game.
I am not as familiar with Tekken as you, so I feel like you could you can say it better than I can, but it felt really good. It looked really good. Everything that you'd expect from it, off of the 30 or so minutes we played with just each character.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me that really stands out now with this new title, and we actually talked about this a few episodes ago when we looked at the gameplay trailer that they released, is that they're changing the way the pacing works in that game. Tekken was always a lot about trying to catch your opponent in a juggle, essentially. A small juggle, a big juggle, a huge juggle, but it was more of like a back and forth until someone makes a mistake and then it opens up for you to do a juggle. But this time in Tekken 8, it's a lot more like a lot more of other things are coming into play. You know, the specials again. I think the special moves, they kind of started introducing them a lot more in Tekken 7. They used to be like the special moves, they had them ever since Tekken 2 or 1 even, but they were always like just like a weird long winded move you do that would open up you to just being countered. But now it's a lot more integrated into your kid as a character, and with this other special techniques you have in Tekken 8, it moves away a bit from like the juggle weight game and a lot more into doing other stuff, and that way it actually brings it closer to something like Street Fighter 6, to be honest. So I'm excited to see how that feels in the long term, in the long run in this game. From that demo, it felt really nice, and it doesn't feel like it's betraying Tekken as well. You can still do juggles. They're still there. It's just that you have a lot more tools to engage. That run-in that they do is awesome. The way that the special moves are more accessible now is also great. And there's also other meters there that I'm not quite familiar yet. All of them together, I think, bring in like a newer way of looking at Tekken, playing it, but it still felt decisively Tekken. It's all still there, so I'm really happy about that. That if you're someone who's been playing Tekken for many years, you're coming into this, it will still feel like home, and that's great. I mean, that's essentially Tekken, right? Taking these steps to get something new in, but still maintaining that core experience, and it's definitely still there, and obviously it looks amazing. Unreal Engine 5 models look amazing, felt fast, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Nice.
All right, so Game Awards. Let's see. Game Awards happened. Some cringy and funny moments definitely happened there as well with Jeff Keighley. We were just laughing offline. People for some time thought he said the N word.
Thank you very much, guys. Great announcement. All right, awesome. Thanks, Digga. All right, now please welcome.
He did not say that. It was just the guy's name that sounded kind of like that, but he definitely did not say that. That's not the reality we live in.
Oh my goodness.
The actual games winners. I think if people want to check out the full list, they can go to the website of the Game Awards and check it out. I guess worth mentioning that the best game of the year award went to Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't played it yet, but I can definitely see how this deserves. Actually, it won multiple awards, but in the best RPG, best game of the year, and some others as well. And Baldur's Gate, I'm really happy that it won. I'm just happy that RPG won this in general, and that Baldur's Gate was such a good surprise to people and to in the industry. It needs more games like this. Like just the fact that Starfield was even in the best RPG category is just like what? So best RPGs were Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of Pi. Was that an RPG? Sea of Stars and Starfield, and Baldur's Gate 3 won. Okay. And I think probably deserved it. And Game of the Year. Game of the Year. What were they nominated? Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4. Should not be here probably. Super Mario Bros. Wonderland. Or Wonder, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and Baldur's Gate 3 won. I agree fully, I think, with this. Yeah, there's a lot of other categories. There's a lot of them for esports stuff, some influencer stuff. Best action game, for example, went to Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Yes, I mean, that's what I would choose for sure. Some of the nominees here were Remnant 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Ghost Runner 2, and Dead Island 2. Dead Island 2 is something I want to play as well. I that game looked pretty cool. Anything else stood out to you in terms of specific nominations?
I was surprised that my favorite game of the year wasn't even a nominee anywhere. Neither was it a totally unknown, unheard of game.
Well, actually, speaking of that, there's some games that do not appear at all, even in nominations or anything. At least from just skimming it and reading about that. One particular game I'm thinking of is Hogwarts Legacy. Actually, do you notice that it's nowhere?
Oh, okay.
You know, you would think what you want about Harry Potter in general, but that game probably, you know, I'm just looking at these categories. For example, best art direction, right? Has Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, okay, Lies of Pi, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Legend of Zelda. You know what? I think if Hogwarts was here, it would probably beat all of these games. That game looks amazing. Art direction of the game is amazing. In fact, you know, if that game was in, let's say, it could be in, you know, our best RPG category or even like best action game, gameplay and as well in that game was really good. So it's, I don't know, that's the nature of these of any kind of awards, right? Like that, right? You always be asking yourself, well, who's making these? Like, how do they even come up with these nominations and not others? Let's just look at one more here. Best fighting game, God of Rock. Don't even know what that is. Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. Okay, Pocket Bravery, and Street Fighter 6. Wow. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what game would have won in this kind of lineup.
Is it obvious? I was kind of expecting Mortal Kombat to win, to be honest.
I don't think so. Well, that was probably the biggest challenge to Street Fighter 6, but I don't.
There weren't that many fighting games that came out this year.
I guess not.
I don't know. Does the Oscars do best drama, best action, best comedy? Do they do it like this? I don't think they do it like this. I'm not sure this is the best way to round up and divide games.
Not sure what the Oscars do. I definitely don't pay attention to those. I mean, in the Game Awards, they definitely have like best performance, for example. That's VO, or I guess mocap as well. It has people like Idris Elba for Cyberpunk, Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi. Actually, that's a good nomination. And the actual winner is Neil Newbon for Baldur's Gate. I think I don't know. I really liked Star Wars, Cameron Star Wars. But yeah, that's Game Awards. Full list on their website.
As far as the awards part of the awards show, which is only about, a quarter of the show.
Yeah. A lot of time in this is also spent on new announcements, Ian. Let's talk about those. Things that stood out to me, Visions of Mana, sorry. A new Mana game, supposedly the first mainline Mana game in 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Mana games from Square Enix haven't been dead. They have been releasing games in this series, but I guess they are counting this as the next mainline, which is fair enough. I need to catch up with the series. The last one I played...
Dawn of Mana? PS2?
No, it was Legend of Mana.
That's PS1.
Yeah, but that's the one I played, last one.
1999?
Yes. Hey, it's a good game. That's why I'm saying I need to get back to the series because...
I heard the remaster fixed a bunch of things.
Yeah, there was a remaster, right?
Yeah, I heard it's quite a good remaster.
Nice. I might actually...
Fixes some of the issues with the gameplay systems not explaining themselves or something.
Yeah. The last one that was kind of, gained some attention was Trials of Mana, right?
Yeah.
And that's also a remake, actually. I guess that's why we come to this point of this is the first main line in 15 years, because a lot of the recent ones, Trials of Mana, Secret of Mana, were remakes. But yeah, looking forward to this one. That's probably my favorite announcement. They also announced Marvel Blade, Ian.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's from Arcane. From Arcane Leon, the Deathloop studio, who has done no wrong, if you ask me.
So this is the one that didn't fail.
This is their other vampire game, right? They are the vampire studio now. But yeah, they're making a Blade game, and it's funny. I totally forgot that Blade was a Marvel character.
So this is not the same studio that did Redfall, or is it the same one?
So same. Well, it's technically a different. So there's Arcane Austin that did Redfall and Prey,
Right,
and then
right,
Arcane
yeah.
Leon that did Dishonored, Deathloop, and now Blade. So they just showed off a CG trailer, but you know, it was enough to get me excited. Like I say, Arcane's one of the studios that I pretty much trust to do something. They did say this is single player, so I don't think it's going to have the woes of Redfall because they're playing to their strengths. They did say it's going to be a third-person immersive sim.
So what do you want to see in a modern Blade game then?
Well, because Arcane is doing it, I expect... I'm not sure what I expect, to be honest, because Arcane games are all about choices. And when I think of Blade, I think of like straight up action. But maybe it's going to be a larger role-playing thing where you can make decisions and explore a larger open world and work with different factions or something like that. It's definitely going to be more interesting than the first thing that you think of when you think of when I think of a Blade game, which is I think of like just a straight up I don't know, something like Devil May Cry, maybe. I mean that would be cool, but we're going to get something a little more, I think, more of a role-playing game out of this.
Interesting. I can't really imagine what I would want from the game like that, so I guess we'll see. It's done by Deathloop develop and Arcane Leon, so I'm hoping it will be a good game. But as we've learned, Arcane is not immune to coming out with things that are not amazing, I guess. Some of the other stuff here, Black Myth Wukong gets 2024 release. I honestly keep thinking this game has come out like 2 years ago already, but it's actually not come out yet.
I'm quite looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's essentially a kind of a Souls clone, I guess. Souls-like, yeah. Yeah, look great. Visuals were great. Anytime I see a trailer or gameplay video, it looked great. Actually, there's so many gameplay videos that that's why I thought it came out already, but I guess not. We'll see how that goes. I have my reservations about 100% Chinese developers. I think I've expressed that before. I don't particularly trust them to make impartial games. Censorship is high.
What's to censor, right? It's based on Chinese mythology.
That's the thing, right? That's why they do that. That's my point always, is that they never tackled modern times because, it's so much harder to do that when you are living under this kind of regime. So, it's always the ancient China.
Take it for what it is, Serge. I mean, it looks like a game, right? I think my hope is that if this game does well, then we'll start seeing more games out of China that are designed for like a hardcore audience that isn't looking for something like an MMO. Because there's a lot of supposedly good games that come out of China that they just aren't for me because I'm not into those kinds of online games, right? But if we can get something that's more of like a story-driven action-adventure game, like that could lead to more developers out of China developing those kinds of games that appeal to us.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. And a silver lining is that if we're gonna get more different types of games from China, from that region, that we haven't been getting before, that's already a good enough reason to be excited about this, I guess. New Jurassic Park Survival. I watched the trailer for this. I think it's all CG trailer, I guess. And I was thinking, like, I don't know what I want from a new Jurassic Park game. Or I guess the question is, maybe a better question is, what do you think is the Jurassic Park game that needs to exist, right? Is it like a theme park type of game? Or is it like a shooter type of game? Is it like a FPS? Is it a third-person action? Like, what would suit Jurassic Park as an IP best in a game form?
It's got to be this, right? It's got to be Survivor, because to me this feels like, I mean, it looks inspired by Alien Isolation, which is pretty cool. You need more of those kinds of games. But then also I think it's also building on the legacy of Jurassic Park games, because a long time ago there was a game, Jurassic Park Trespasser, which is not a great game, but it's a really cool game that tried a lot of cool things. It was just way too ahead of its time. But it ended up being a huge influence on games like Half-Life 2, games like Alien Isolation. And to me, this feels like something a franchise looking back into its past, but then finding a way to merge that with games of today, and giving us something that to me give me Trespasser vibes, but in the best way, and maybe they can make it actually slick and fun and intuitive.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that game, but I think you hit the nail on the head when you mentioned isolation. I think at the end of the day, I think I would prefer that type of setting and that type of atmosphere where you are really like helpless against these things, right? Like you need to survive, you need to hide, you need to escape, or kind of try to outsmart them. And I am hoping that that's where they're going with this. At least from the trailer, that's what it looked like. It was this character Maya, I think she's called. She was hiding and trying to survive in that kind of scenario. It didn't look that she was kind of packing heat and blasting the hell out of these dinosaurs. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the game we're going to get, and I'm all for it. Actually, that would make me jump into that. Let's see. Sega announced a flurry of projects, a bunch of games from that announcement. Kind of like it was a bit odd. Like they didn't really spend that much time on any of them. I had to kind of like pause the video to even see what the kind of to absorb all of them. The one thing that's not to me is that two things. First of all, Streets of Rage is not dead or is like, poised for revival. Some sort of there was just a new game, right? Streets of Rage 4 just came out not that long ago, so kind of like
well, so that was actually I don't think Sega was as involved in that. I don't know if it was technically a Sega thing. I think they might have actually licensed the IP out to an indie developer.
Okay, a license or not, it's still a Streets of Rage official game. Streets of Rage 4. So don't come out now and say, hey, we're bringing it back. Yo, you just did that when you hired the developer. Don't kind of sideline them like that, right? I'm just very confused with what the position of this kind of thing is here. So I guess we'll see what will happen with this, but it's a bit odd. I'm hoping that they're not going to say, hey, Streets of Rage 4 is coming out. I'm hoping they're just going to do 5 and respect the work that's been done on 4, because apparently that was a good game. I haven't played it myself, but it's a good game, Streets of Rage 4. So I'm going to hope that Sega's going to do right by these developers.
I mean, I can attest that Streets of Rage 4 is a really good game, and in fact, the Shinobi game that they showed off, they haven't confirmed it, but it's pretty clearly being made by the Streets of Rage 4 team.
Nice.
It's the same art style, it had the same look, same feel, and that's probably the one that I'm most excited for. I think it was really cool that, I mean, this is my favorite reveal from the show, because, I mean, it wasn't just one game, it was like 5 games. And they were 5 games where we saw gameplay footage of all of them, not just CG trailers, right? Not just empty promises. Yeah. Crazy Taxi looked cool. I love Crazy Taxi. That's one of my favorite arcade games, racing games of all time. Streets of Rage looked interesting. It's cool to see it in 3D. Gave me kind of Shenmue, Yakuza, Spike Out vibes. Golden Axe, interesting.
Golden Axe was my favorite reveal here. It's looked like third-person character action. Not sure if that game needed that. It could have just been a 3D, side-scrolling game. We'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to that one.
This is like the second or third time Sega's done this with Golden Axe.
Oh,
actually.
Okay.
They just haven't been very good. So you have to just hope that they can pull this one off. New Jet Set Radio as well. This is interesting because some of these franchises have been dormant for so long that the fans have basically made their own, sequels in the case of Streets of Rage, or games in all but name in the case of Jet Set Radio. Just earlier this year, there was this game, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which was basically, a Jet Set Radio, but they couldn't call it Jet Set Radio from the fans. That was just as good as a mainline Jet Set Radio game. So it'll be interesting to see. In a weird way, I feel like Sega has some shoes to fill, because they've been away for so long that they can't just release like just another game. These games have to be somehow even better than these fan games that have just turned out to be exceptionally well made.
Yeah, I guess the full list is Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, and Crazy Taxi. Good showing from Sega. I guess we can wrap it up with the Kojima announcement, which I guess it's not really a reveal because we knew about this in some shape or form for a while now, and that is the Overdose game. The trailer they had didn't really have anything really. I only had characters talking in front of a camera, and that's about it really. I guess we know that it's going to be some sort of survival horror or horror game. and that's it really. One thing that stood out to me is that it will have Udo Kier as one of the characters, which really excites me. Udo Kier is the actor that played Yuri in Command and Conquer Red
Oh,
Alert:
okay.
Yuri's Revenge.
Cool.
Yes, he was Yuri, and he has been doing some other stuff in games as well. He's a famous actor, had a colorful career, and I like anything he's in. So, obviously, next Kojima game, so we will be paying attention to that whenever that comes out. Horror game from Kojima, there's a precedent to that with PT. So if it's even remotely anything that on the level of that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I love PT.
Yeah. So that short demo already kind of, man, I think to this day it's one of the greatest kind of, not disappointments, but like shame. One of the greatest shames that didn't come out as a full game, because just the ideas that were shown in that demo were already exciting enough for a full game. So I'm not sure if this is gonna be third person or first person. I think there was some clips we saw some time ago of a third person gameplay, but I'm not sure if they were ever legit. So it's still kind of unknown what this game will even look like. But
whatever this game becomes, it's going to be compared to the potential of what Silent Hills could have been, which will be interesting. I feel like Silent Hills is something that exists in the minds of the fans, and whatever OD is, it can't beat that, right? Silent Hills has to have been something that could have been greater than whatever OD turns into.
Yeah, I mean, I if he just takes the stuff he did for PT and just does it for the OD, I'm all for it.
Well,
just
it's not Guillermo del Toro co-directing. I don't know if who's directing it or what. It's Jordan Peele now.
I do like some Jordan Peele, and yeah. So this should be good. I feel like someone like Jordan Peele. Do you think they would clash with Kojima's vision? Like they're two visionaries essentially. I'm just wondering how they're gonna be, how they would work together, and whose influence will come through more than the other ones.
Oh, and will you even be able to tell in the final product who is responsible for what? Should be interesting. But you know what, Serge? Let me tell you, those two fully grown men in their suits, and actually, no, Kojima was in a suit, but they're both wearing bright red Nikes or whatever, giant high top boots. Looks stupid. They stood on that stage for 4 minutes, and they basically just said, it's gonna be really amazing. It's gonna be like nothing you've ever seen before. They just said that again and again. Empty words when they could have just showed the trailer and said hello. And do you really think they needed to do that for like 4 minutes straight?
At this point, I think Kojima is someone who, the way he lives in the industry as this, one of the faces, right? He needs to be like this bombastic kind of representation of the personalities that we have, and I'm all for it, I guess. I mean, he needs to make good games as well, but I think he should be allowed these kind of maybe vapid appearances and here and there, and kind of just to make it, like just having Jordan Peele next to him already. I'm not one of those people who thinks that the game industry needs validation by being adjacent to anything else. But the more people take us seriously, the better, always. We can watch the trailer on YouTube or whatever. If this grabs attention of a lot of people, I think that alone is worth it, probably, of them just standing there in their weird sneakers. And
yeah, it's to me, it's more about the show. It's more about what the show is. I think the Game Awards is a poor name for it, because it's not really an award show. Someone timed it, and they said something like 40-something minutes of the show was the awards, and the other 3 hours was advertisements, right? Advertisements, whether that's a cool new game, and I'll be honest, they showed off a lot of cool new stuff, particularly OD. But a lot of it was also like Simu Liu telling jokes to the audience, or Jeff presenting along with one of the Muppets, like literally a Muppet puppet, or this thing presented by Old Spice body wash. And to me, this feels very emblematic of where the game industry is in 2023, where it desires to be taken seriously and have this own kind of Oscar premiere show, but then just tries to ape certain aspects of Hollywood by having celebrity people there that don't meaningfully contribute, or by having this award show that's overshadowed by these ads, or by having an award show talking about all these amazing big budget games that are coming out without acknowledging all the layoffs or all the hard work that people put into the awards. I mean, did you see the drama where the teleprompters were telling people to start wrapping it up after 30 seconds or a minute of a speech? The director of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was accepting an award, and he had to speak through an interpreter, so it was going to take him a little extra time. And he was dedicating the award to one of the employees on the game who died during the production. And meanwhile, there was the teleprompter was saying, "Please wrap it up," because we've got to get on to the next ad, right? Or the next big game reveal, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the commercial nature of this stuff. I mean, you can also say, I mean, that was not cool, especially when if he was talking about a deceased developer. Like, come on, fuck off, teleprompter. Some of the other minor stuff you could say, hey, did we need a Timothée Chalamet there presenting anything really at all?
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff. It just if it gets us, if it furthers game industry as a whole, I guess I can fucking tolerate that shit. Fuck it, right? That's fine. The 40-minute versus 3 hours, again, like the Game Awards, look, that was E3, right, in the end.
Yeah.
And minus the awards. So I guess they call the Game Awards because that's adjacent to other stuff that's happening, with Oscars and the awards in general. So it's probably the best thing they could do. If this was just called, what can you call it? Game celebration? I don't know. It doesn't matter that much. I guess what they call
Games
it.
Fest, maybe, because we have Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, Games. Actually, yeah, Games Fest is a good kind of example of that.
I think merging the awards in, to me, says that that Jeff or whoever isn't very confident that people would tune in if it wasn't for the announcements. That they know that what people are there for are the awesome game reveals. People want to see the new Kojima game. People want to see the new Grand Theft Auto or whatever, or Jurassic Park or whatever. I know they didn't show GTA there, but bear with me for the example. People don't care. I wonder how many people they think actually care about these awards. But I think it's because they don't give people a chance. They don't let people, they're too focused on the celebrity guests, and they aren't interested enough in telling the stories. But the developers let them share their accomplishments. The Oscars can be entertaining, but they don't really do it up like the Oscars, do they? And I think, to be honest, I think the speech thing might be a reaction to was it last year? Is it Christopher Judge, the guy who plays Kratos? He took the award, and I think he talked for like 5 minutes. His speech was like 5 minutes long or something like that. And this year he presented the best performance, and he actually made a joke about how he wasn't going to talk as long as last time. But I think maybe because of that, they're like, okay, everybody only gets like 45 seconds or something like that.
That's the thing, right? Celebrities or not, when you have this kind of schedule and this very scripted and performance, well, not performance based, like script, like time based thing, that one thing needs to go after the other, then you'll get this. It's never going to be this kind of. It's never going to be this personal reveal. Like it's not like a sit down and a discussion about a certain game for a long time with a trailer, with the gameplay, with like some opinions. It's never going to be like that, right? So I think that people just need to like kind of manage the expectation of what this is and just take the best parts of that, whatever it is for them, whether trailers or something. If you don't think that it's worth your time to watch the full thing, that's fine. Just watch the trailers, watch the key moments, and just move on, and hope that this whole thing does something positive for our industry in general.
How would you feel if the Game Awards, instead of having so many categories for best action game, best role-playing game, I mean, genres are so nebulous these days anyways. To use the Oscars as an example, what if there was a category for best level design, or best game feel, or best writing, or best
well, there was best narrative, right? So that's
I suppose narrative wraps all that stuff up. I'm trying to think of ways that, because at the Oscars they celebrate the best editing in a movie, or best sound design, that kind of thing. And I mean, as level designers ourselves, I think we could appreciate if a game, I think games should be celebrated for having really good level design. I'd like to think about what best, what I thought the best level design of 2023 was.
Yeah, I think that it's that step that they don't take. It's that one step above that nuance of like best level design. It's the best mechanic or best like system, right? Best least egregious monetization thing. They don't really go that. They go step above that and just say, oh, best RPG, best narrative. Like that would be the step down and into the realm of a bit more of a personal, more in-depth kind of award type. Something maybe I would expect in maybe shows like GDC, maybe, or I don't know, something else. Maybe if E3 survived to this day, maybe they could have something like that. But this is definitely not it. This is more like a bit higher level, more of a showmanship type stuff, right? And yeah, but to answer your question, I would love that. Of course, I want to see that. I want to see what the nominations for that would have been and what was chosen. And actually, if that was the category, maybe I could learn something from it.
Maybe
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, best UI. Maybe they could split art direction and technical direction, because I think it's okay to celebrate a game like Hogwarts Legacy, Spider-Man 2, for the sheer amount of cool technical features they're pulling off at a good frame rate on each system. But then maybe it's also worth saying, okay, Tears of the Kingdom doesn't have the best technical graphics, but it has an amazing art style. They're doing a lot of visual tricks to pull off stuff that shouldn't be doable on the Switch. Maybe that's deserving of a totally different category. I'd like to see things like that.
All right, that was Game Awards. Let's wrap it up here with our own small list. Just a quick one here, based on the games we played and some of the things that have been happening in our industry overall. We have a few sections here. We're going to start with the first one, which is I called it Hottest Mess. So my winner for this category is the industry layoffs of 2023. Oh man, Ian, what a mess this is. Already happened throughout the year. Nothing we can do for this year. Hopefully that will change, but I somehow doubt that the reasons why this happened will ever actually change. You know, you can blame COVID or the war, whatever you want, but it's really just a mismanagement issue. It always has been. Smaller scale, bigger scale, and this time it's a big scale, but it's just always that, right? If you manage your studio, your publishing label better, then this would not happen. Obviously,
Yeah, I mean,
one of the bigger culprits here is the Embracer Group.
these companies are all, well, Embracer aside, I think pretty much all these companies are reporting massive profits right now amongst this, which, you know, as you say, means it's just mismanagement, right? It's
profits based on layoffs. What a time to be alive.
and especially to see so many layoffs around Christmas time. I think there was an indie studio that laid off its staff the day before the holidays.
Yeah,
just nasty.
Perfect gift. I want to see this change. I want to see something. I don't know if what's the solution is, unions, something else. Maybe I think one thing I'm hoping is that the developers, not just the ones that were laid off, but everyone, all of us, will kind of start paying more attention to what they're applying, to the history of the companies they're applying to, and just look after themselves, because it's insane that this happens. And something needs to give. But yeah, more than 7,000 laid off this year. Okay, what's yours then?
If you're going to go with that one, then I think my hottest mess has got to be Bobby Kotick's leaving bonus from Activision.
Okay.
Because some people get laid off right before the holidays, and they're not sure how they're going to afford the next few months. And then some people at the very top get these golden parachutes. Yeah. And I think Bobby got a $155 million exit bonus.
Yeah.
On top, I believe it's a bonus. I believe it's on top of his whatever regular salary he makes every year. He got that. And you've got to wonder, what is the difference to someone like that between 150 and 155 million? But for anyone else, even a fraction of that is a life-changing number.
Yeah. I'll throw him a bone. There was a thing I read about saying that his actually yearly salary, they compared it to like someone like Miyamoto, I think, and he actually, I think, gets like, let's say 100,000, I think it was. Well, Miyamoto
It's
gets
all the
like
bonus.
I don't know, million or something. It was like a lot more than Bobby Kotick, but that's such a you know that's nothing compared to like ultimately what he gets and he got for this, right? 155 million. Holy shit! Well, people got laid off, and it just got me thinking about the whole structure of the way businesses are run. It's insane that there's not a riot with pitchforks over this, right? And I've been reading also online on social medias that like people are straight up calling it out, like, why is it? How about we change? How about we reverse it? If this happens, the top gets immediately sacked, and the bottom line gets stays behind, and then because that's, if you think about it, that's what should happen, right? Like, why is Embracer Group's all the CEOs are still there while a bunch of people got laid off?
Well, when it was their management that made the mistakes that led to the redundancies.
Right, yeah. So the whole thing needs to get just, I don't know, burned and then rebuilt from the ground up. I know some in recent years there's certain development studios, probably smaller ones, that are trying a lot of new things, like 4-day work week, a lot of like equal sharing of profits and responsibilities. I just want to see a lot of that in the bigger studios. But the thing is, bodies like EA, Activision, now Blizzard, and now Microsoft, they're so huge that you can't. There's no way. There's no blueprint that you can look at to make them other than what they are. Anything else?
Well, and why would those people at the top share the wealth?
Well,
right? They have it all already. So I can't see things changing at these large places.
Yeah, probably not. All right. Next category is best trend. My pick for this is working from home, pretty much. Yeah, a lot more flexibility is given to developers just based on this. People can stay with their families. People have more options. So I'm actually hoping this trend somewhat helps all the layoffs. I think if this wasn't the case, the layoffs would have been way harsher than they actually are. I think because you can still look for a job from where you are and you potentially don't need to move. That is just great, really. Hopefully that's going to be here to stay. That's not for everyone, for sure. If you want to be in the office, that's absolutely fine. I myself go once a week nowadays, Ian more or less the same. So, but there's people who never show up and they do their work from home, which is fine.
My favorite trend of the past year or so has got to be the amount of fan translations we've been getting for games.
All right.
There are if you go on certain websites, which I can't name. Actually, you know what? No, there is a website that hosts all of the translations for these games, provided that you download the translation and then you patch the existing game files that you have, of course, supplied yourself legally. There are a lot of cool games out there that people have, just assumed would never get translated, and after 10, 15, 20, 30 years, so many games, I think more games have gotten fan translated in the past year than like several years did in the past. Just pick it up for yourself. There's so many cool and not even just translations, but like just ROM hacks. If you want an auto map in Super Metroid, if you want a remix of dungeons in Zelda, if there's just that cool game that you've never heard of that has now got a full English translation, it's there. And there's so much getting worked on all the time. More than ever, these things are coming out. I'm really happy about it.
Nice. And actually that kind of relates to the preservation as well, right? That's helping with that, because if the fans won't do it, who will? Nobody. So I'm also happy to see a lot of that, and obviously just allowing people to play older games and games in languages they wouldn't understand. So always great. All right.
So what's your worst trend?
My worst trend is Bethesda's way of making games. Is my pick for this year, and obviously the star of this is Starfield. And it really took this game to come out for me to kind of jump on board with a lot of other people that say that kind of see how this game and the way Bethesda making gamers exposes their, I don't know what it is, maybe not stubbornness, but kind of, it's not even about being buggy anymore. Honestly, that's the crazy part, is that nobody cared or would have cared that if Starfield was really buggy, classically buggy. I don't think it was that buggy. It's just the way everyone expected something new, something fresh from Bethesda. And what they got was essentially, equivalent of Oblivion in space. That amount of innovation. I don't want to launch into like a review of this game in general. I haven't played it myself, just read a lot about it, saw videos, and it took a long time for this game to come out. And it feels like it didn't have any kind of new way of doing anything, new, like some kind of thing to push the envelope for Bethesda. I don't know, Fallout 4 felt way fresher in comparison to this game, even though it came out years ago. So, and I think Bethesda needs to check itself before it wrecks itself, I think, because they just can't afford to do the same thing again. They have to kind of do something fresh, something still true to what they are and who they are, but they need that something that's not this game, and they need to do the next game, essentially. I'm hoping that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be that for them. If it comes out and it literally feels like Skyrim, then the pitchforks needs to come out at that point. It's, yeah. So that's mine.
Yeah, maybe perhaps a consequence of just ballooning game budgets, that it becomes cheaper. I mean, I would say that Bethesda is in some ways can be quite ambitious with certain features that they add to their games. So maybe when the budgets get higher each time, it becomes a bit of a fight to really do something unique and different from what's been done in the past, as opposed to it being the same core gameplay as the other games, but with a slightly different setting and structure.
Yeah, I think they just got way too used to. They underestimated how much players are familiar with their games nowadays. They can't just. They have to challenge themselves, really, and everything else will come out of that.
I think in the intervening years since games like The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate 3 have come out, I've seen more criticism on Bethesda's games, and I think it's because, in some ways they've gone from being one of the most defining studios when it comes to making RPGs to being maybe a bit unchanging with the times over where RPGs people have come to expect from them.
That's such a good example. Going from Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk, what a breath of fresh air, right? The same studio making those two games. And then, look at Bethesda. That was a long time coming as well. When Fallout 3 came out, everyone was like, wow, this literally feels like they reskinned Oblivion and put some, sci-fi stuff into it. They did Fallout 4 afterwards, and at this point, this is where it's kind of breaking. This is a breaking point for them. Hopefully they'll do something to kind of address this. What's yours then?
Oh, so I had a hard time thinking about this one because I say I feel there's a lot I could be negative about, but I don't want to dogpile specific studios or specific little trends that I think might go away in the future. I think for me the biggest worst trend that grinds my gears has got to be digital only games that are getting delisted. Because there's been quite a few recently where that's been the case. And thinking back to those fan translations, it's going to be pretty hard for people to do the same thing with consoles these days when the PS5 is 20 years old. Because unless emulation really gets there, which I feel like has less to do with reverse engineering the architecture of these systems. I mean, they're all x86 PCs in a box at this point. Probably more to do with the increasingly intensifying security in the systems to prevent people from hacking. But what does worry me is that without a good, for example, PS5 emulator and the ability to download games plus their patches and their updates and things like that, because don't forget that it's not just the 1.0 versions of games people want. People need the fully patched versions, which will also disappear when stores get shut down. But when people got angry when Sony was announcing that they were going to shut down the PS3 store, they've actually pushed it back. It's currently still up. But every week or so, they're delisting more and more games, and I can't blame Sony for, like, Sony shouldn't have to keep the servers running for the next 50 years for the PS3 store. It's not their problem. The problem is just a general lack of laws that protect people with digital content, and just a general understanding that a lot of these things are going to get lost over time.
Yeah, it's true. And obviously, it's adjacent to this, not exactly this, but Sony recently, and we talked about that, they just told everyone, hey, a bunch of movies you have will be not available to you anymore, the movies you bought.
They did U-turn on that, but they're only U-turning because people are getting angry. And what happens if people don't raise their voices loud enough? They're actually going to lose that stuff for good.
It's amazing how many different tentacles this huge whale of a topic has, right? The preservation of games.
And it's not just games, right? I mean, we're in the streaming future of movies, of music. I mean, it's easier to download those files and keep them offline, and you can play them off of any device. But it is still, I mean, I've seen more and more people questioning if they want to keep using services like Spotify as opposed to when they had a record collection, or even when they just bought things digitally on iTunes, because at least then they could keep control over those files and back them up anywhere and put them on any device. And they never had to worry about delisting or internet going down or things like that.
Cool. Next category, best game of the podcast, of the PP show. Now, I've struggled with this because there's a lot of great games we played, but I'm gonna give it to the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. It's the
I
one.
suspected you would.
Yeah, this is the one game I did finish. I'm gonna finish other games as well. This is the one I definitely finished. It kind of competed with games like Chronicles of Riddick, Kingsfield, and Thief, but I'm gonna give it this year to this game. It lived up to its historical reputation. It was a good game, influential game, and I think it deserved it. What's yours then?
I was going to make a joke about one of the games that I had you play. That was my favorite one, because obviously. But I think probably out of all the games I played, I mean, I think Stronghold probably surprised me the most with how much I enjoyed it. Considering, so in that sense, it sort of surprised me. Well, yeah, it surprised me in a way that I didn't expect it to. But I think the one I probably had the most fun playing was probably Jedi Survivor. I was expecting to play that game anyway. It was sort of deep into my backlog, but it was less linear than I thought it was going to be.
Jedi Fallen Order, right? We didn't play Survivor. It was Fallen Order.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I can't keep track of all these Star Wars. Is Survivor the newest one?
Yeah,
Okay, so Fallen Order then. So yeah, I enjoyed that one quite a bit, and it was less linear than I expected. It's once you land on the planet, you have a few different routes that you can get down. If you do something a little bit like that, it felt a little less cinematic and linear than I was expecting somehow. And I also appreciated how challenging the combat was.
Nice. Did you not expect it to be as Dark Soulsy as it was?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is I thought it was going to be somehow someone said Uncharted with that game, and it stuck with me. I don't know if it was just the climbing or if it was the way the story was delivered, which gave me some Uncharted vibes. But I do like Uncharted. I was going to play it anyway. But like I say, it was a bit different than what I expected, actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense, to be honest. Actually, like Uncharted 4 plus Dark Souls wrapped in Star Wars theming is pretty much that game. Yeah. When you're fighting, it's Dark Souls. When you're traversing, it's pretty much Uncharted. Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Worst game of the show. I'm gonna give it to. I'm sorry to say this, Ian. It's gonna be Pharaoh Rebirth for me. The first game that you had me play. It's such a bizarre experience. Like the basic things were just overlooked in that game. There wasn't even a pause menu or settings menu. The writing, it felt like it was written by a teenager. It was such a fourth wall breaking at times, and it had some charm with the characters, but I don't know. I would have to finish it to fully talk about the story and the characters. But just playing it, some of the stuff that it did, it made so little sense. In like as a 2D platformer, like you would have enemies that would be flying towards you from an angle. You don't have angle attacks, and then they would get stuck on the previous screen, end of the previous screen, and you can escape the last screen, and then you have to like re-engage them, but they don't reset, so you always have to take damage. It just, I don't know. It just didn't kind of vibe with me at all. That game.
That's what I figured. I mean, it was probably one of the furthest out of your comfort zone games that I could have picked.
Probably, yeah, you're probably right about that. We played a good variety of games. There's things like Deadly Premonition and Eternal Darkness. Those games are out there, but it still felt I'd still kind of understood those games a lot more than I did this one. This one is obviously beloved. You like it, people love it. You like other games from that developer, and maybe they have improved it overall. But I just can't.
For sure.
I just can't excuse when you just kind of blitz through the basics of development and just like don't focus on the story or anything else before you have just basic functionality of the game correct. It's like, I'm sorry, you're in the developer, but it's not 2002, right? It's not 95. You're not releasing it like it's on Steam, and I don't know. I just kind of that aspect of that game kind of irked me, and yeah. I guess the positive of that game was that the visuals were nice. But yes, that's my pick.
I'm gonna keep all this in mind when I think about some other games I'm gonna make you play. I've got some good ideas now.
Nice.
Worst PP show game for me. I'm gonna be gentle. I'm probably gonna say Anthem.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't play it because it was your favorite game or anything like that. We know that it was sort of some developers making the best out of a bad situation, and I have some respect for that. I guess what holds it back for me and why I'm a little harsher on it is because it wasn't like it was a super unique, super ambitious game that failed because they tried too many unique things and some of them didn't pan out. What the game is trying to do is sort of comparable to a lot of other AAA fairly safe games like Destiny or things like that. And because of issues behind the scenes, they failed at making even that. So it's, it wasn't a truly horrible experience or anything like that. But it's not the kind of thing that particularly, I think is like particularly worthy of praise from me. It's not the kind of stuff that I value in a game.
Yeah, fair enough. The issues with that game were so fundamental that I can imagine the meeting they had and where they said, you know what, to fix any of this is not like a Pharaoh Rebirth issue of like, oh, we just need to add a pause menu or we just need to tweak some of the enemy stuff here. No, they were so fundamental that it would have been a monumental task to actually fix all of that. And when you think about it that way, it's not surprising that they kind of either decided not to do it or were kind of like probably told, you know what, it's not worth our money to because that would be a different game entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense, I guess. Cool, and we'll wrap it up with the final category, which is most anticipated game for us. My pick for this is Dragon's Dogma 2. I cannot wait for this game. God damn, I loved 1, played so much of 1. Every time I played it, it was a joy to play. I mean, I just cannot wait for this game. I was so pissed off when that online only, Japan only game came out. I never had a chance to play it. It was Dragon Dogma Online, I think it was called. It was like, why is this happening? I've been waiting for this game for so many years, and it's coming out soon. I'll mention runner-ups here, which is Tekken 8 and Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3 came out, so I guess that's not Tekken 8. Let's say that's the runner-up. But Tekken 8 is, it's. I always knew it's going to happen. I haven't been waiting for it as much as Dragon Dogma 2, so my pick is Dragon's Dogma 2.
I am probably most looking forward to... Actually, I was thinking about Tekken at first, because I try not to get too excited for anything that doesn't have gameplay footage, which discounts quite a few games. I'm looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I don't have a PS5, so I've actually chosen not to look up any gameplay footage or any trailers of that game because I don't want to get excited and then feel bad that I don't have a PS5. The game actually that I'm looking the most forward to has got to be actually the one from Team Ladybug, the Pharaoh Rebirth developers. They announced a game at the Nintendo Direct several months ago at this point.
Okay.
They showed off gameplay footage, and I thought it looked excellent. And in general, I think their games are getting better and better.
Well, okay, that makes sense. I'm sure we'll hear about that game from you at some point. And yeah, that will wrap it up. This is our list. It's been a good year, and we'll take a quick break and come back with the first game of the day, which is Nights into Dreams.
Christmas Nights.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to Nights into Dreams Winter special. Now, Ian, I have no idea what this is. I only know this is by Team Sonic, and when I saw this first, it reminded me of two things. One, PS1 classic Pandemonium, and two, I think it reminds me of that game recently came out. I think it was Balam Wonderland, something like that.
Yeah, those are good reference points.
Other than that, I've never seen this before. Don't know what this is, so you should tell me about it.
Wow. So Nights into Dreams is a game released for the Sega Saturn around 96 by Team Sonic Team. I think around that time they wanted to try something different other than just Sonic. So they made Nights, which is an excellent game. And later they made a spin-off sort of demo game called Christmas Nights. They sold around Christmas time. I think actually they gave it up for free in some regions if you bought an issue of the Sega Saturn fan magazine. So this is just a couple levels from the base game, rebranded with a Christmas theme and some extra goodies. So I don't think this will take us the full time to play through because it's actually pretty short. But it's a good taster to see if you like the game.
Right. Yes. If we finish that in good time, we can check out other modes. Or I think this is a Steam version, and I think it has the Saturn version built into this, so we can potentially check out that as well.
That gentleman, that lady, that old man. Why do they have to walk that fast? In the crowd, they feel something important is missing. The streets look so beautiful. This is the most cheerful time.
What type of game is this?
Nights is a platformer. It is sort of like the spiritual cousin of Sonic, or at least of the 2D Sonic games. I never gelled with Sonic in 3D. This game is 3D graphics, but 2D gameplay. But the camera is dynamic and moves around. Okay. So the controls still take advantage of the analog stick, the 3D pad that they sold later as an add-on for the Sega Saturn. So you are flying through the air and you get very graceful, dynamic movements. The gameplay is sort of like Sonic meets a racing game where you're sort of doing laps around the stages. It's really unique. There's nothing else quite like it.
Yeah, worth mentioning that to get to this Christmas special on this version at least, I had to get a save file from elsewhere from on internet, because I think you need to finish the game at least once or get some certain scores to actually unlock this in this version. So yeah, if you want to play this, know that you'll need to either finish the game first or get some sort of save file.
At least with this remake, this is based on a PS2 remake,
right? That
Sega did. So the visuals are cleaned up.
Okay, Elliot and Clarice. Let's go with Clarice. Is there any difference between the characters other than the appearance?
Yes, totally different levels.
Oh.
So you have to. So in the base game, you have to play through all of both of their levels in order to get to the end. You can play through them in any order.
Oh,
So,
holy shit! What is going on?
so here's the thing. Knights is weird. Knights is really confusing. So right here, you can walk around as a kid. But what you want to do is you want to go over to Knights. You want to jump up and touch Knights.
Okay.
This mode is fully 3D. Now that you're playing as Knights, the gameplay is 2D.
Oh.
So what you want to do is collect these glowing blue and yellow orbs.
Okay. Oh.
You want to collect enough of those, and you want to go to bring it to this thing. Do you see that? So you
Yeah.
filled up some of that meter. So you want to collect enough of these blue things to unlock the idea, the thing under the Christmas tree.
So is it not just like moving from A to B towards the finish? Do you have to go back and?
So you're generally just going to keep moving to the right.
Okay.
So you want to keep moving to the right. So in this game, you don't have health; you have a clock. So if you get hurt, you lose time. And yeah, so you can do circles. You want to try to close loops around things. If you close a loop around an enemy, you'll defeat the enemy. If you close a loop around a group of items, then you'll grab all the items. You can get extra points for doing things like in Tony Hawk. There, you're holding an egg. You can just press the attack button to break it open.
Just an enemy.
No, it's actually a friendly guy. There's this whole other. There's a ton of systems in this game. Nice is weird and it doesn't explain itself very well.
I'll say this. I think the color palette and just the visuals are really meshing, like kind of blending into each other. It's hard to say who's an enemy, who's friend, who's a pickup, who's something else.
And that might be because of the remake.
Maybe. Also, I feel like am I going in a circle?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But now you've moved on to the second course because you got the item. So now you're moving on to if you move to the right, you'll move on to the next segment.
What is this? Is this is this an attack I can do?
Yeah.
Can I go there?
Just keep going to the right.
Okay.
There's always ways, to get around the stage. So in this case, it moved you around onto the next bit of the track.
I like the doing a circle around the enemies to defeat them. It's quite unique.
Yeah. You can press the attack button to build up speed as well.
I feel like I don't need that because it's already like busy enough on one screen.
Well, you are running on a timer.
Right,
So
yeah.
in general, you want to move faster.
Are all the levels structured like this? You are essentially doing a circle over and over.
Yes. It starts off easy, but eventually you're going to need to quickly move on to repeating, doing more and more laps of the same level in order to get more of these items to respawn. Yeah, there's all kinds of little sort of hidden paths and different branching routes you can do on these laps if you want to get more points or grab these blue balls faster. I can't remember what they're called.
I wish this game was a bit more zoomed out. That would help.
Yeah. So now the blue balls have turned into yellow balls, and now they're just worth points. Now, if you want, you can just keep farming them for points instead of finishing the stage. But in this case, you want to move on because you only have 9 seconds left.
Oh.
So you just got to go through this thing. So now you're on to the next bit.
There's a Christmas tree upside down.
But yeah, you can choose not to end the level. You can fly over the gate, and you can just keep farming that section for more points. And so there's all kinds of you did an 11 link there, so you're doing a combo to get more points. In this case, press the attack button to break that open. Anytime Knights is holding something like that, you can press the attack button to smash through something.
Cool.
Do a bunch of loops here for extra points.
Definitely helps that you can only go like one direction technically, so that helps with the confusion.
Yeah, I mean this game came out before Mario 64, I believe. So super early platformer. 3D cameras weren't really defined in games, and I think it was a smart move to do this because this lets Sonic Team just focus on fast action, a fast frame rate because the camera's fixed, smooth controls. If they had tried to do a game in full 3D it would have had to have been slower. It would have been more cumbersome. You would have been fighting the camera quite a bit. I can't imagine that would have worked very well for the kinds of games that they were known to make.
So, is there any other actions I can do apart from like the spin thing here?
I believe you can use the L and R buttons to pose and do tricks in the air and things.
Okay.
But no, the controls are super simple. It's meant to be just like with Sonic, the 2D Sonic. It's meant to be a one-button game, basically.
You know, this also actually, now that I'm playing it, it reminds me actually, going like away from visuals, more like a Res,
Yeah.
where you have to get this rhythm, kind of get into the groove of the game.
Oh, one short.
Oh,
Just grab them there and then go back.
so is this one stage that I need to like, or that I need to complete?
Just keep going because you're on a time limit here. Yeah, so once you finish this next bit, I think you'll probably go on to the boss.
Oh, there's a boss.
Yep. Now, if you get a game over here, you've got to redo all these stages.
Oh God.
You got to go back to the beginning. But this is the kind of game, much like with Sonic. This isn't the kind of game where you just get through the stages once. This is the kind of game where you play them again and again. There is one more section, I think. Oh no, never mind.
Well, just like Res.
It's the kind of game where you play it again and again. You want to get a better score. You want to do it faster. You want to find all the extra routes.
How do I fight a boss?
I think you want to hit him on his forehead.
Okay.
There you go. Just keep doing that.
Oh, so I don't need to do a loop.
No.
Huh, okay. How can I lose here? Is it also like the timer?
The timer, yeah. And if he hits you, you're going to lose time. If you don't hit him in the right spot, you're going to lose time. It's the first boss, so it's not that hard. I mean, there's two bosses in this demo, but the game does get the full game does get a lot more challenging. Oh yeah, so you are able to circle around him. Yeah, the later levels, the later bosses, they can get quite challenging. So he's wearing a Santa hat, which he's not wearing in the base game.
So you mentioned that the characters are different, but then I'm kind of playing as this character now. Is it a different character with the guy?
No, so it's the same character. Actually, the abilities don't change or anything like that. That's something I would have liked to have seen. Would be when you're playing as, depending on which kid you're playing as, you would get slightly different mechanics or something, or a different appearance. And I think in this case, knights will wear a different outfit if your clock is set to the right time. If your clock is set to before December 25th, knights will be wearing a Christmas outfit.
But the entire story was a dream. So, what was that star?
Is there a story in this game?
There is, yeah.
Talk about the dream they saw. But there is one thing both of them.
I should have enabled subtitles.
Something special will happen after they embark on an adventure with knights. They start feeling cheerful again. And now happiness, like the light of a small candle.
This feels very like storybook style presentation.
Everything is okay
Yeah.
now.
This isn't exactly how the story plays out in the main game. Not that it's particularly involved or anything like that, but
Give a star of happiness to the heart of these brave children. Give a star of happiness to the heart of everyone. Merry Christmas.
So, was there another level of winter?
Yeah, there is. I imagine you'll get the chance to go back to the menu after this and play that. Weird music.
All right. Okay, so let's go back then, and so I chose Christmas Dreams. I guess this is the emulated Saturn version.
Yeah,
Should I just
and that's the regular version of Nights. Maybe check out the Saturn version, see what that looks like. If you play Elliot's levels, it'll be Christmas themed, but it'll be oh, is it? Okay. So if you go to the right, you get Elliot's levels.
Oh, so I can just choose any level.
Well, because you have your save file.
Oh, right, yeah.
With everything unlocked. So yeah, play up. So you want the top right one is the first level for Elliot.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So wait, let's go back for a sec. If I choose Brand New Dreams,
That's going to be the same thing, but with the remake.
okay, let's do. How do you get to the other level for Christmas?
Well, you just pick the Christmas Dreams,
Yeah.
and then you pick Elliot.
Ah, okay. Let's do that.
The city is
At least this should be a different level. I hope it's a different level.
Doesn't
Looks
look
pretty
like it.
similar. Let's see.
I mean, this was a short demo anyway, right? It's not.
Yeah, I thought there was maybe the boss at the end is different. Maybe that's how it works.
Are the levels in the main game longer than this one?
No, I don't think so. I think they're all the same length. It's like I say, it's not a long game. However, once you start playing the later levels, you're not gonna be able to clear them on your first go. You're gonna have to learn the stages a little bit. You're gonna have to get a bit better at the mechanics. You start moving faster, and even then, you're gonna clear the levels, but you're gonna clear them with a bad score, and you need to play the game again and again to get a higher score. You should be hitting that dash button, that attack button, to move faster and faster.
I'm afraid of missing balls.
Well, you could just keep looping to get more to respawn, right?
Yeah. When do they respawn?
Whenever you loop like this.
Oh, okay.
Whenever you cross the gate, the checkpoint.
Does it ever get as fast as Sonic in movement?
No, this
and
is
everything?
about as fast as it gets. I think probably because it was a fully 3D game, they probably couldn't make it any faster at the time.
I can still see a bunch of ways you can kind of go fast and yeah.
Or maybe because it's not Sonic, they didn't want they wanted a sense of speed, but they didn't want to be all speed.
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring up the Balan Wonderland game, Wonderland. It's a bad name.
Yeah.
But that game was sort of touted as Yuji Naka, the director of this game, making a spiritual successor now that he'd long since left Sega. And as we know, that game didn't turn out very well, and there was a whole lawsuit surrounding it.
Yeah, he left afterwards, right?
He did, yeah.
Man, what a shit show that was.
It's funny because it doesn't really play anything like Knights. It's a fully 3D platformer for one. I guess theme wise, it's got some similar ideas.
So, have they made any other games in this series?
There was a sequel to this on the Wii that I never played. I heard it was okay, but maybe not nearly as beloved. This game is quite beloved among Saturn owners. So what we should do next time is once you get all the points, fly over this gate. So then you can keep doing runs for bonus time, for bonus points.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's the goal. Is once you get into it, there is this real risk reward of, do you want to do another run through and get more points, but then risk running out of time, and you really start pushing the clock. You never want to end the levels with any extra time on the clock, because it means you could have grabbed more points.
I feel like I'm seeing different things this time, or maybe because I'm doing things differently.
It might be that there's different routes on Elliot's version of the stage. But yeah, at least in the base game, from what I remember, there are springboards that will launch you to different parts of the stage and things like that.
Yeah.
Or if you go high instead of go low in these bits, it'll send you to a different path. So yeah, replayability is the name of the game here. Break that sucker open, and now you can just focus on getting yellow orbs.
So how do I avoid finishing? Just fly past the...
Fly over the gate.
Oh, over, okay.
At the end here.
Ooh.
So go above it here. And you only have 20 seconds, so I would maybe just grab a few points and then go back.
Okay, just hold the button and...
Yeah, but you're hard to control, right?
Yeah.
That's the trade-off. So in a way, I like Nights because the game can be as challenging or as relaxing as you want it to be. Now, on the later levels, yeah, you have to play faster. The game pushes you out of your comfort zone. But, people who want to can really push themselves. People who want a more relaxing experience can get that too. Because you're more fighting the clock than you're fighting enemies.
Yeah. Yeah, enemies are not really a big of a thing here. I barely have to even pay attention to them.
Nice. Yeah, the Saturn, actually, before the N64 came out, the Saturn had a 3D pad that you could buy. It was a Saturn controller with an analog stick, and it came bundled with this game in a lot of cases.
Okay.
You can see how you would not want to play this game with a D-pad. This game really takes advantage of analog control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm playing on a PS5 controller, and it just works, so I'm really happy about that. That's not always the case.
Same boss. That's weird. Maybe there is something where your system clock has to be set to before the 25th to get all the Christmas night stuff. Because I do remember there was 2 Christmas bosses.
Okay. Well, we're still, looking at this
Christmassy
level.
enough, right? I was going to show you this game anyway, so just as well that we get to include it in the Christmas episode.
Ooh. He's kicking my ass this time.
You're running into his spikes. Probably easier to go around. Go around the other way and meet him from the front. Music's so
Doing
good.
these tricks are so pointless, but it's just there. You can do it.
I think if you do loops and things while doing the tricks, you might earn some extra points.
Okay.
Can't remember for sure. Very nice.
can still go on. Okay, so let's try the Saturn version then.
Yeah, maybe you can check out one of the since you basically cleared one of the worlds, you could check out maybe one of the second levels in the Saturn version.
Yeah. So, are you aware of any major differences between Saturn version and this the newer one?
I don't think there's any differences beyond the visuals. It's a pretty nice cleanup. It's not too noisy or anything like that, but the Saturn version holds up really well visually too.
It's a 3D Saturn game. Interesting. Did they need to have these characters other than Knight? Like, you just start with them and you just jump on a podium and become this character.
So I think if you run out of time, Knights goes back to the prison thing, and then you get to run around as the kid, and you can actually move around the worlds in full 3D. You can move around the stages.
But why would I want to do that?
There is a reason for it. You haven't actually lost the game yet, and you need to run away from this. There's like an alarm clock that's trying to wake you up, and there is a way to recover. It's this whole other weird system that you never really have to engage with that much. I do wonder if this game's development, if it took some time to coalesce, and if there was just a period where the developers were building all these gameplay systems and they didn't really know how they were going to interact. They have all these extra things in that, maybe a pro player, someone who can, get higher scores than I, could tell you a bit more about how they can how they can be used tactically. So if you hit like a springboard up there to the left, like that might send you somewhere. Up. That thing, that to your right. There. Okay, so that just launches you downwards. Yeah. But sometimes they can send you to different paths and things like that.
I'm enjoying the music in this game.
It's really good. It's sort of back when Sonic Team could do no wrong. Like I say, I really like this game because it feels like this whole other side of Sonic-style gameplay that they could have kept exploring. But I don't think this game really, Knights is not Sonic. Knights is not a huge brand icon. It's a little too weird, I think, to ever be successful.
Yeah, it's not something I ever came across in anywhere really, reading about it or anything. I might have seen a screenshot or two, but I never kind of placed that in to a name that I recognized.
You need to grab more of these blue orbs.
Oh.
You're running low on time. You're doing all these loops, but you're not grabbing them.
Oh, shit. Well, it's because they're not that numerous.
Yeah, they are.
Where are they? Yellow orbs.
Blue.
I think I'm gonna lose this one.
I think you might.
No! Oh.
So there you go. Now you're... now you need to get back... Run away from this thing. You don't want to run away from this thing. So it's going to try and wake you up. Now you need to follow, I think, the arrow down there?
Oh, arrow. Okay.
Big arrow. You can probably rotate... I think you could rotate the camera freely now.
Yeah. Oh, it just points to balls.
No, does it? Or does it point to knights? Oh yeah, so yeah, so you can still finish the level if you grab all the balls and go to the, basically complete the regular objectives.
This is crazy though that they allow you to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
But if that clock catches you, then you wake up, and in the dream, it's game over.
I mean, I feel like this level layout and level design isn't meant for this character at all. Like,
Oh, absolutely
I'm jumping. Look at I'm jumping in it, but like,
Yeah.
okay, holy shit, that's
Watch
crazy.
out! Get out of there!
Is that an enemy?
No, it's a friend. There was this there's this whole other mechanic we haven't even touched on where you can wake these guys up from their eggs, and you can grow them into good guys or grow them into bad guys, and it can affect all these other things. It's bizarre. There you go. You recovered. You're on to the next level.
This was insane. Like, I didn't even know where night was, so I was just going in a random direction.
Well, the arrow points the right way.
Well,
but yeah,
okay.
what a weird system. Why
Yeah.
don't they just game you over, right? And just drop that whole all the work they put into that is.
Yeah.
I guess they just. So I'm thinking someone just made all that stuff because they didn't know what the gameplay was yet at the beginning because they were messing around in 3D, and then they were like, oh, let's just keep that stuff in.
Yeah, I wonder what the decision making was to include this the way they did. It's really bizarre.
Because yeah, this is the kind of game. It's weird because for such a simple platformer, I mean, you can sit a child down with Sonic 2 on Mega Drive, and they can figure out the gameplay immediately. But would you have known what to do in this game if I wasn't coaching you?
Well, the arrow obviously would have made sure I found.
I just mean in general, like just from the moment you picked up this game, would you have known what was going on?
I would just keep going until I would see a pattern or something like that, and then I
You
would.
can go in this coffin, by the way.
Oh.
Oh, it just closed. You have to trigger some switches to open it up. But for such a one button game that's clearly been designed with simplicity in mind, meant to be a game that clearly anyone can enjoy, right? Different ages, different genders, but you almost have to like read the manual or stick through it, suffer with it for a little bit to sort of figure out how it works. I think you've been shrunk by an enemy. I don't even know what's going on here.
Whoa! Yeah. Why am I so small?
Oh, you need to hustle up. You've got all the
Where
orbs.
is it?
You've got more than all the orbs. There you
Yay!
go. Well, you still got to go to the exit.
Oh no!
Oh, you lose the orbs. Wow.
Oh. To pick them up.
I guess it's like Sonic when you lose your rings, you can catch them again.
I was gonna say. It's so wild that she can like scale these mountains like this.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I have the orbs and I can just do this? Nope.
Oh, so they do let you go on to the next stage, but they just fail you. They just give you an F rank.
Oh.
Interesting.
All right.
I'm trying to remember now if you're allowed to go on to the final stage if you have too many F ranks.
Oh.
I can't remember. We'll see. You must be on one of the last ones.
Oh, That's interesting. What is that? Is that a car?
Yeah, some kind of thing. I don't know.
Did I switch the perspective myself, or?
No, so you just hit a point in the stage where they just
Alright.
happen to trigger it. Just one of the routes.
I'm guessing I need to run away from this crazy thing.
No, I think it's just. I mean, it's on a totally different plane from you.
It's just
It gives you to
clearly
figure out how to
chasing
get
me,
the next bit of the stage. There you go.
Oh. Huh?
You get hit by some spikes.
Oh.
There's a spiky ring there. Where is that container? Hang to the bottom right, I think. Oh, you got to go around this thing, up and around.
Oh god. The arrow keeps pointing to like.
The blue arrow points to the exit, but you've got the red arrow now, so it's pointing to orbs.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know what it's pointing to. I mean, follow it, I guess. Oh, it's pointing to the capture point. Yeah, grab that.
Okay, so clear the level
Now you
with
go
this.
exit. No, well, yeah. Now you got to get to the exit.
The LOD sound this game doesn't help you with this when you're in this when you're playing as one of the children.
Yeah, I think this is a good example of why it was smart to keep the game at a fixed perspective.
Yeah. Okay, that was a bit messy.
Nice. Okay.
Oh.
You gotta go into these fish thing
Oh.
and hit them. That's too high.
Oh, so okay. Do I just need to match the level?
Yeah. Well, yeah, hit him. You gotta hit him is what you gotta do.
All right.
There you go.
Oh. Oh, so I also need to like.
That one. Yep.
Nice. I really like the different ways you're fighting bosses here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Every boss sort of has a different, totally different approach of attack. I think that comes down to what I was saying about this game being very replayable. There's no filler in this game. There's not that many levels. They all have they all feel pretty distinct, and the bosses feel very distinct. So I don't think you can hit them all these. Whoa!
How?
Careful.
I wish there was some sort of indication of his health.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you
did.
go. I think maybe. Yeah.
Nice.
Good job.
Aw. This is not F.
That was BF.
Okay, I think we have time to check out the actual remaster version. Let's try. Was it Elliot? Oh wait. It's fine.
Yeah.
Claris.
If you check out his second stage to the right, that one maybe.
Yeah.
That would be about the same difficulty level as the one you just played.
Frozen Bell. Why would they put enemies straight away? Like,
it's almost like they want to show you that these things have stolen your orb and you've got to get it back.
Can you avoid them at the start?
No, but it's so overwhelming. There's like so many things happening at once.
Yeah.
What do you think about this remake? What they did visually?
I like it. It's just cleaned up the visuals, I guess, and it's a bit less confusing. Especially, I've tried the Saturn now, and compared to this, it's a bit more
Readable?
readable, yeah, understandable.
Okay, yeah.
Specifically with the colors of the balls and everything. Like somehow, maybe they make them a bit bigger as well. So is Balam Wonderland supposed to be in the same world, or is it a completely different thing?
It's a different thing. It's a Square Enix game, not a Sega game. I know that game was derided for having just one button controls, but you know, hey, it worked for Sonic and it worked for Knights. Not that I've played Balan. I know it has some supporters. I'd be interested in checking it out if it was on a deep discount, just out of maybe out of morbid curiosity. I'm sure there's some cool ideas in there. A lot of the Sonic Team games, even if they're not my kind of thing, I think they have a lot of cool ideas they play around with. I've been meaning to play some of their other titles like Burning Rangers, Phantasy Star Online for a long time.
Yeah, actually, I have installed the Phantasy Star Online 2, the new one, the remake, not remake, like a new version. I keep meaning to actually start playing that.
Yeah, same for me. You got to get more of the orbs. I think you did that whole run, and you got 8. Should probably grab some more.
Oh. Yep, need more orbs. Medium loop, what does that mean?
It's just because you're in this score time bonus thing where if you do more tricks, you get more points. So sometimes you'll see the orbs and they're sort of clustered off the plane, and that means you just need to loop them to grab all of them. I'll point it out next time you come up to one.
So going through these rings, does that do anything for me at all?
Just gives you points.
Never mind.
It's because you didn't do any tricks.
Oh. I'm not gonna.
It's too bad. That's enough. That was enough to get to the next bit.
God, it feels like I've fell through the world and now I'm
You've got to get higher. Ah, there it is on the railroad track.
How do I?
I think you've got to maybe jump down here.
I get on the tracks.
And walk up it. Oh. Oh.
Yay!
I think you just got to figure the balance of when to. I'll see they're all hidden in there. Nice.
Yeah, I mean they're obviously meant for you to pick up as a child, but I don't know. I think this part is the one that kind of probably didn't work out at all in this game.
Yeah, I would say so. I think you just need to know when to speed up and when to slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. See, there's an example of some orbs that you couldn't grab because they weren't sort of on the same plane as you. But if you lasso the group of them, then you can grab them.
Oh, so like doing loops where you
They
are.
grabs key items.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Got lots of time. You can probably do like 2 loops now. So you go, yeah, let's do those ones. You found a hidden item.
What are these stars?
Stars are just for points as well. Well, you got a B rank there. You had a ton of time too. You could have kept going.
Yeah, I just want to get to the boss so I can finish up. You see, I think I didn't realize. Whoa. Wow, I did not expect this to be happening right now.
This is like Sonic 2's special stage.
This is like Final Fantasy
You're in
7
the half pipe.
snowboarding.
That too.
Okay, I did not want to do that. Well, at least they respawn the balls.
Keep going to the right. You can't go to the left because they put all the springs there to sort of block you off this bit. Oh,
Oh my god. Yeah, it's still hard for me to differentiate what's what on the map, on the level. Like I you know, it's so some things fly you fly by so fast that it's hard to avoid certain things if you want to.
you did better.
Nice. Okay.
I can't remember how you fight this guy.
Oh god. Probably like this.
Okay, so you just gotta dash into him and avoid his cards.
Yep. I guess. Ooh. It's not easy to avoid them. Like, is there an like a evade move or something like that?
No?
Or do I just need to like maneuver myself?
Well, when you dash, you can't maneuver as well. So I would say try to either dash out of the way of the card or sort of, don't fly right into it.
Well, at this point, I can't even reach him. I don't.
You'll never catch up if you're getting hit. You almost had it. Oh!
Oh well. Well, at least we reached the boss. We have a hint as well. Remove Jackal's cape before attacking.
Maybe there was a whole other trick to him. So that's the kind of thing where you're almost not expected to get him on the first try, and you do the level again, get a better score, do it faster, and then use the hint that you learned to take him down.
Well, there you go. That was Nights into Dreams, Winter Special, and the main game as well. I'm I think I like it. It has a definitely a vibe. Like you mentioned, if you want to have just kind of zone out, collect some orbs, collect some balls, have a good time, nothing too hard, that's probably a game for you. And yeah, maybe if you like... actually, I think if you like games like Sonic, this can also be for you. You can definitely go fast and challenge yourself with these kind of runs, right? That's definitely a game for a lot of different players.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. We're going to take a quick break and come back with the next game, which is Parasite Eve. We're back with Parasite Eve. Ian, this game came out at the during the golden age of Square Enix, where they could do no wrong, and this game pretty much fell in line with the others that became classics. It has a star cast of developers. Produced by Hironobu Sakaguchi, with Takashi Tokita as well, who famously worked on Chrono Trigger. Also music by Yoko Shimomura. So even this intro right now, we're hearing its iconic intro. The music is really good in this game. It's based on a book, Parasite Eve, by Hideaki Sena, who was a pharmacologist PhD. And this game and the rest of them are essentially sequels to the book. So the book came first, and then the games continue the story. You mentioned that you played the third game. Have you ever? Did you finish that one?
No, so I have the third birthday on my PSP, and I really like that game. I think it's really cool. I think it probably works because I'm not a fan. Or I should say, I haven't played. I'm not super familiar with the other entries in the series, so I found it pretty easy to enjoy. I didn't mind that it was trouncing on the story of the other games. In fact, I wasn't really paying attention to the story, just kind of enjoying the action. Solid action game on the PSP. I have played maybe like the first 20 minutes or so of this game. I don't know why it didn't hook me. That was a long time ago, so I'm ready to give it another shot, because this is the kind of thing that should be exactly up my alley.
Yeah, this is comparable to... I mean, this game, even though it does a lot of unique things, it still came out at a time where a lot of the other games were looking at Resident Evil. You know, we played one of them, Galarians, and you can definitely feel the DNA of those games in this as well. Although there's a really big difference in this game in the way that it handles combat compared to Resident Evil. And I actually think that it kind of, in its own way, solves the problem of those older Resident Evil games where the tank controls and aiming at enemies and fighting them with guns was really not ideal. So this game kind of circumvents that by having its own very unique way of combat, and we'll see. It's kind of starts slow, like the start of the game in general is really slow, but I think, if I remember correctly, we'll be able to, with the time we have, we'll be able to get to combat pretty soon. So
maybe that's why I wasn't pulled in right away the first time.
Yeah, there's like a slow start. There's a bit of combat, then it kind of slows down again until it picks up later on. This game is also, for me at least, back in the day especially, it was quite scary. It has this, the setting and the creature design, and even in this intro you will see them transforming into these horrible things. It was really had the mood, really, this game. I think in a way this kind of scared me more than some of the Resident Evil games. Wow. It's definitely less arcadey than those. They're not going to be doing speedruns on this, and yeah.
Selection. Okay, let's get into it here. Whoops. Nope. Oh, gosh. Start new game. There we go. The luscious CG animations that Squaresoft was famous for at the time.
Yeah, they even called this game a cinematic RPG. I don't know. I think it was, probably one of the only ones that they called that like that in the end. But
so, have you played the third game, and what about the sequel?
so I finished the 1 and 2. I played some 3, but I haven't finished the third one. So I think at this point I'm kind of just waiting for them to remaster it. They've been doing a pretty good job on remastering their older PSP titles, and once they do that for the third birthday, if ever, I'll jump on that. If not, I'll just play the PSP version at some point.
It probably scales up really well in an emulator, but I would imagine the controls are a little hampered because the right thumbstick goes unused, being a PSP game and all.
I don't remember exactly how that game controls. It's been too long.
It plays well for an action game on PSP. It's pretty tight, but it would just be a little weird not using the right thumbstick for anything. These need text boxes behind them to sort of highlight these.
Yeah. I guess it's part of the way they try to make this a bit more cinematic.
You can name her. Right, okay. Not tank controls in this game, by the way.
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can... let's make it a little red.
Just the highlights.
Okay. What's he saying here? Yeah, we better go inside. The walk speed is pathetically slow, but that might be because she's in high heels. Right.
Well, you can run as well, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty slow run too. But if I remember correctly, that's may just be in this intro bit.
This looks very distinctly Final Fantasy VIII. I feel like just the models themselves and the way the graphics are displayed.
Yeah, the realistic style, but you can also feel how this game is like sort of just coming off of FF8. I mean, I guess it was a while ago we did the first podcast episode, but this game feels a little lower budget than FF8 with the background.
Even just like the menu sounds almost sound like FF8.
The color, the great color of the menus, the Squaresoft menus.
I think this game would be good to remaster for Square Enix these days. There's a lot of cinematic stuff they can do, a lot of set pieces.
Now, I heard that that the reason they called the third one the third birthday was because they didn't have the rights to the book anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's the exact circumstances of that. I know that the author of the book, he didn't know about the story of the game until it was finished already. I don't know how he felt about that, but yeah, maybe there was at some point some dispute. But it's actually quite ballsy of Square Enix, if that was the case, for them to simply not use the name and still make a new game, obviously with the same character. I'm not sure if that was done to avoid the whole issues with the name and the book, but at the end of the day, it's still a continuation of the same story. I'm not sure if that author could have still kind of go after them or not.
It's possible
if the characters that they introduce in these games are Square Enix's own and not the authors, that they might have access to the characters, but just not the Parasite Eve name.
So Aya Brea is unique to Square Enix, yes.
There you go.
The original book was developed into both manga and live action movie. I've started watching live action movie. I never finished it. It just, it's a Japanese sci-fi movie from the 90s, so it has a lot of, you have to be prepared to accept what it is. But supposedly the book is really good. So, and it was translated into English at some point.
Yeah, when I think about Capcom's successful Resident Evil remakes, you wonder if this game was to get if there's to be a new entry in the series or a remake or something like that, if they did it in the style of the new Resident Evil games, but maybe figured out a way to keep the role playing combat. Maybe they would keep. I mean, knowing Square Enix these days, they would probably keep it fully real time action, but maybe they could do that kind of sort of pause. Selection, sort of vagrant story sphere that they have in this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Third Birthday, they did kind of try to do something new and different with this formula, so maybe some sort of iteration of that. Although obviously I wouldn't mind a complete and faithful remake of battle system from the first one. Although, yeah, knowing Square Enix, they probably wouldn't do that.
Can't interact with it. What if I could just... What happens if I just try to walk out of here?
Where was she hiding that gun?
Yeah. No. Okay.
Why are there burned bodies outside?
Well, the people were on fire and they ran out.
Oh, right. Yeah. Are they going to be okay? It's interesting that they give you the freedom to go all the way back for pretty much nothing, really.
Yeah, it's
could put some bullets or something.
It's a bit of a pacing killer. Maybe they don't want to encourage you to do something like that. That kind of messes with the pacing. How can someone talk if she's singing? Maybe she's singing it out. I like that they just drop you in a fight right away like that.
I wonder what, back in the day, what triggered Square Enix to even decide to adapt that book into a game like this.
Yeah, maybe it was quite popular in Japan.
Oh yeah, it was. It was a bestseller.
Okay.
But still, right? Like, I understand making a movie and stuff, but a company like Square Enix that were just off, done making Final Fantasy 8 and 7 to decide to adapt this kind of work. It's such a different tonally story.
Yeah, maybe it started with someone figuring out that they could get the rights. Setting up a lot of intrigue here, right? A lot of questions about our protagonist, about our world, about this this actress and her powers.
Do you know the general hook of the story and why is like what's causing all of this.
No. You can just go all the way up here. There's nothing. Boy, that footstep sound is getting repetitive without any music to mask it.
Oh, there's a lot of like these moments where
Kind of empty
just, like,
rooms.
you figure out what to do. Did she go left?
Oh, did she? Maybe she did. So it wasn't really clear that backstage is where I needed to go.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there's a chest there, but I think she's just gonna go without me.
Oh yeah, get that chest.
No, I don't think it's gonna. Oh, okay. You can say forget it. Okay, so it says her back has arrived. So I wonder if I was to back out of here, what would happen? But yeah, I think that the Final Fantasy games, because they're RPGs, you know, anytime you're running around an environment like this, well, you just can't leave the stage for some reason. That's the difference. They've just removed the stairs apparently. But if you think of Final Fantasy, like these screens, they always have hidden items around them or chests or people to talk to. But in this game, there's just kind of some empty environments where you're walking very slowly.
This game in general is very like solitary. Like there'll be moments where you're like in a police station and talking to people, but that's more like a hub. And then once you leave, it's really like she's by herself. Then it becomes a lot more like a Resident Evil game than a Final Fantasy game, where you'll meet some characters you'll talk to from time to time, but most of the game time will be spent by just being by herself, solving puzzles, fighting monsters.
I guess Square Enix probably thought this game was going to be a huge hit, right? Like Final Fantasy meets Resident Evil. They probably thought it was going to do, you know, enormous numbers. Whereas I feel like this game is maybe more of like a cult classic these days.
I think it's somewhere in between. It's probably more famous than a cult classic, I would say, but obviously it never did Final Fantasy numbers. No way.
You can really see the influence of John Carpenter's The Thing in the morbid enemy designs, the body horror. I mean, this rat's head splits open just like the dog's does in that movie. Maybe it's not this rat. Maybe it was something I saw in the intro. So my question for you, Serge, is what do you think this game gains by having more, like, being an RPG and not being more of a Resident Evil style game?
Actually, I was thinking about that when you opened that menu and I saw level 1 and obviously just mentioning cinematic RPG. Honestly, not a lot at all. And I actually thought that this game might as well be like no levels, just more like an action game with some RPG elements. But having her have levels, the thing is, I don't remember this game where if you can actually farm enemies, for example, or anything like that. It's a really linear game, as far as I remember. So having levels in this kind of game, I don't know. I would have to replay it again to see how that actually affects the overall flow and what it actually does to the game, if anything, or if it actually just gets in the way. But it does definitely feels, because you compare it to Resident Evil straight away, right? And those games, there's some elements like inventory management, some other things. And maybe this game could have had a bit more of RPG elements than those. But I think it could probably do with less as well than it actually has. That's just my, assertion based on my memory and just looking at you playing right now.
Do you think that they made it an RPG because that's just what Squaresoft knew at the
time, and that's what was expected of them.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that side of this game is definitely a product of its time. They were like, well, we're like gods of RPGs, so why wouldn't we do an RPG out of this?
Okay, so they're definitely dead.
Do you remember if the third birthday was still like a level based RPG?
Yeah, I think it had that kind of stuff. It had some stats and some other systems, but the gameplay was full real time. So I like these games with pre-rendered backgrounds because they're only rendering like a flat picture and then just these three characters. Like having real time reflections with mirrors is like super easy. Although actually you can see that the lockers that I've opened aren't reflected.
Yes.
Because that would mean each one would have to be a separate picture. I don't know. Actually, that seems like that seems like a bit pretty easy to do. But I guess the point is like, here's a great example of touting what you can do with these pre-rendered environments. You can just stick a whole another Aya on the other side of the mirror, and it's super cheap, super easy to do. And it makes the environment feel more 3D and alive.
Yeah, that's probably just another character there that you can control at the same time. That's how they did it.
Yeah. They've got the Silent Hill thing where all the doors are locked. Do you feel like maybe these lights up here should only be lit up if the door can be unlocked, or is that too gamey?
I would mind that, to be honest. I think this game, just from watching you play now, already feels like it will waste quite a lot of your time. I don't often throw things like this game is wasting my time or does not respect my time kind of accusations, but it can be a thing for sure. You know, it's not a short game. That's for sure. It's a long game. So I don't know if they did it on purpose. Definitely this game tries to capture a certain kind of aesthetic and feel. So maybe that was part of it.
It's weird that she says I should call the police department and tell them, so that lets you save your game, but then she doesn't actually call them, or does she? But you just don't have the conversation. It's a little weird.
No, yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean they want you to they want you to slow down, and they want you to engage with the environment. Checking every locked door maybe isn't the best way to do it. That's something we've had discussions about at work. Is like, how do you let players know that a door is locked? It's shockingly every game has a different answer for that, and not every game does it perfectly. And there's a lot of work and thought that goes in on both design and art and sound, just getting a door working.
It has to start with consistency, right? Like in this corridor, in this hallway, there really is no consistency. This open door looks exactly the same as the closed ones. So that immediately means that players will have to check all of them. I mean, if you're okay with that as a developer, that's fine. You've achieved your goal. But if you just want the flow to be a bit more, to flow a bit better, I guess, and then maybe just, I don't know, switch off the lights or put something else on the door that tells you like it's closed.
I even just wish this wasn't a straight hallway, because you saw there, I went back into both these rooms, and it's because I couldn't remember which doors were locked and which doors weren't. And turns out I had to try to leave this hallway the way I came in order to progress things. But I thought that maybe arbitrarily one of the doors was now unlocked or something like that, because the game just seemed to be operating on a bit of a random logic. I think this is probably about where I probably got a little bit past this the first time, and I was like, the game hadn't done anything that particularly impressed me.
So notice how the fact that you can run around freely, and then when you attack, you get the sphere. It actually works pretty well when those enemies were casting fireballs at you. Then you actually avoided them in real time, and then when it came down to attacking, you did the sphere. So it's cool that those systems interact with each other that way, because they could have not have had that, right? They could have said like, these fireballs are homing and they always hit you, so you just have to like have a high defense. If they did that, then the whole idea of her being able to run around enemies would just be pointless.
It's a nice balance between some aspects of action games and some aspects of RPGs.
I think you can move on down now.
The door was locked still, I think.
No, just go back.
Oh, I need just... Usually when games put enemies in a direction, then I'm like, okay, that's where I gotta go. I didn't realize that things were gonna change down here.
Have you tried all of these doors?
I've tried all the other doors. Okay. So I guess because she wasn't down here, then I need to... The actress wasn't down here, so I need to leave the way I came. It's a bit unintuitive.
Yeah, this game doesn't have like quests or anything or objective. Or does it? Is there anything in the menu?
Unlikely. No, I don't think so.
So have you gone to the right in the backstage?
I think it also takes you just to the back, regardless. I'll check that after this. But even here, I think this is a good example of like an artist built this stage, and they didn't really highlight that there was stuff around the edges. If you go behind either curtain, it just kind of blends in with the rest of the background. I think they probably could have maybe composed things, lit things a bit better, so it's clear that you can go to the left or the right to go somewhere else. Yeah, see, this just takes me here.
Wait, so what's on the left backstage?
I'll show you. See, it just loops around.
Oh, that's weird. Well, then go back to the hole. We're missing something there.
Yeah, so then why did it let me climb out of here?
Maybe you'll need to use it at some point when you're escaping.
Unfortunately, also in this game, for some reason, the interact button makes you stop running. So if it looks like I keep running and then slowing down, that's because I'm trying to see if I can actually climb down or something. Okay. That's locked.
Can you interact with the corpse?
It's that clown.
Maybe you need to find a key in one of these rooms.
Locked. Must be something with the bird, right? I've checked that room already, but... Oh, no, it's just... Oh, wait, this game has random encounters, doesn't it?
I don't quite remember. I guess it does.
I guess these enemies are just spawning in because I'm wandering around the halls. Right? Not because anything is changing.
I guess, yeah.
And that's why the enemies have to spawn like tons of ammo, like more ammo than you need.
I guess that in that way you could farm this. It definitely feels odd, right? That they respawn. You would expect them just to not be in there anymore.
There's gotta be a key around here, right?
Yeah, try the parrot room. That's probably that was the room that had the most.
I'm just gonna be thorough. I don't want to accidentally get stumped here. In case there's something on one of these dressing tables. This is locked. So it's gotta be in here, right? Can I search this a second time? Is that the idea? Oh, I can put items away. Right, so you got an item limit, I assume, like Resident Evil.
Yeah. So can you interact with the parrot then? Can you shoot him?
You can't take out your gun unless you're in combat. Game takes out the gun for you. And then I can
interact with the corpse.
double save. Apparently. Ah, of course. Has the key.
There you go.
See, I think there were those corpses at the beginning, and Aya wouldn't interact with them at all. So it's not clear which corpses are which corpses were interactable and which corpses weren't.
Yeah. Huh? You can't use it.
Well, so here's another thing that actually Silent Hill has for this game. These all just say it's locked. But it doesn't say that one of these could use a key. So like in the Silent Hill games, it'll say that this, the handle can't be moved or the handle is broken or whatever. But then it'll say that this one's locked, but it has a keyhole. So now you know which ones need a key. This game doesn't delineate. Another parrot. Ah, Christmas.
Oh shit.
So like most RPGs, the combat starts off really simple. But would you say that the combat really picks up and gets more tactical and quite interesting near the end of the game?
Well, it progresses. I think the one thing you'll probably not going to get to with the time we have is that she'll get powers similar to what Eve has. She'll be able to cast like essentially spells, mostly fire and stuff like that, but other things as well. She'll get more guns, different guns, higher powered guns as well. So, but I think in terms of the way you fight enemies is gonna stay consistent to this. You'll be avoiding their attacks in real time, and then you'll be casting things on them and shooting them with guns. So in that way, you're probably not gonna miss much apart from the spells.
I mean, that's one way to make sure that players engage in stories. You just hide the key in the book, so they have to turn to the last page. It's funny, all these things that I feel like at Rebellion that we have sweat over, and clearly people at Square Enix just didn't think this stuff was super important. Getting players properly or getting doors working or whatever, they're just like,
yeah.
And maybe
Don't
that just shows. Get you started on with what?
On things that we sweat over while other developers just thought, oh, what else? We'll just do it this way.
But I think maybe that's just a signal of how times have changed with games, is that games these days are all about being easier to jump into and more accessible and a bit more consistent with the logic. And that's also a trade-off with development time. I do have to wonder if you were to make a game these days and you were to just not sweat it like these guys did, if it would give you more, it'd be a little rough around the edges, but maybe it would give you more development time to put in cool features and have fun with things.
Yeah, I guess it's a case by case. I think in this case, it could have used a bit more of modern design sensibilities, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's quite a bit of contrast between the combat part of this, which works really well, just with the way it is, and the exploration, which is quite janky.
Now, how did the sequel update this stuff?
So visually, it had quite a bit of big update. Aya looks almost entirely different. It was still, I think, oh shit! I think it was still pre-rendered backgrounds, and you were playing the game pretty much the same way. They added. It was a really iterative game in terms of design. You would still have spells and guns. That's how you would fight enemies. I think the biggest change there was the visuals. Oh shit! Okay, you have a save.
Yeah, I'm glad I saved.
Yeah, so the biggest change there was the visuals, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's the third birthday that did like a lot of new things.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different platform a lot later.
I remember the second game had a lot more puzzles as well, or at least that's how I remember it.
Oh, crud. Oh, I still need to get that key from that body.
Yeah. I think you should have some medicine you can use in the fight.
Yeah. I think my mistake is she is telegraphing her beam attacks, and I'm trying to run away from all of it, and you have to kind of stand in the middle almost between the lasers.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of at some point you will be worrying about, I think, different elements, like she'll get like different ammo, different types of ammo. You'll be able to target different parts of the body of the enemies, and kind of you have to, the game will be asking you to take them down like that. So there's the combat of these games were definitely my favorite, and the story. It's just, I guess everything else is kind of a bit of a slog in the end, especially with hindsight.
I'm sure some of it is just getting used to the game's logic and having to think a bit like how a developer would structure things. Not ideal, but
if you approach this game with patience, I think you will have a good time. It's just that you shouldn't even expect a modern Resident Evil comparison here. It's not going to play like the remake of 2, for example.
I found it really easy to jump in and enjoy the old Resident Evils. As someone who, I didn't play Resident Evil 3 until only a few years ago, the original Resident Evil 3, so maybe about 2017 or 2018. But I think I just got maybe my mistake was that I was approaching this like a survival horror game, and you got to approach this game like an RPG. Like, this is a longer, probably a much longer experience than your average Resident Evil game, and something you've got to slowly sink into and get into the right mindset for.
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of those older Resident Evils are so rough. Like, have you tried Code Veronica these days? It's insane how...
I played Code Veronica around 2018 or 2019, and that game sucks. But it doesn't really suck for maybe the same reasons that we're thinking of. I think that game has some structural problems, but it's actually slicker to play than the PS1 Resident Evil games.
Maybe. I think I always had a problem of the more zombies and the tighter the room. I think at that point, a lot of the combat systems now in that game kind of fall apart. Aiming at more than one thing, or being able to switch targets, or even just target exactly what you want, was such a problem in those games.
Yeah, I know that Resident Evil 3 improved on some of those things, but because it was being developed alongside Code Veronica doesn't have those improvements. Like Resident Evil 3 has a dodge button, and I can't remember if Code Veronica has a button to rotate, like a flip 180 degrees quickly.
I think it doesn't.
But RE3 has probably aged a lot better as a result of those things. Can't skip these cutscenes. Yeah, I've got the medicine, so I can power through it. Hopefully I can learn how to dodge these beams as well. Bit of a difficulty spike here.
I remember this game being quite hard, actually, overall.
Oh, yeah. It's weird how you auto sprint in combat, but not on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I dodged it. Oh, well, I dodged a bit of it. I want to go to the settings and see if I can turn auto sprint on, because it feels weird. I'm just always holding down the run button. Oh, jeez. Oh, so you gotta. My problem is I'm locking myself in. Oh, ow. I'm locking myself in, and I think I need to not fire both my bullets at once.
Well, you should wait till she does the move before shooting yourself. So now shoot her.
See, the problem is I'm always firing 2 bullets, because why wouldn't you? Except the problem is, in between firing those bullets, she moves her laser beam around and tracks me, and then I'm standing still because I'm aiming my next shot. So I like this, because the game's already getting you to think. Like,
Yeah.
you know, shooting 2 bullets. Oh, see, I did it again. See, oh, I barely got past that. But I'm already having to think a little more tactically about when do I want to fire 1 bullet versus 2 versus none at all.
Yeah.
I think that's a good example of where this action RPG blend is, can offer some interesting gameplay possibilities. Oh, hang on. I don't know if anything changed here, so I need to go back in and check the piano in case I need a key or something. Because it's like 50-50 whether just like leaving this area is now going to move everything forward. Oh, there you go. Yeah. I could have run all the way back to the stage expecting something to be different. Maybe, or maybe not.
It's crazy that you that hole was not obvious at all from that other angle.
I'm kind of surprised I'm kind of surprised they let you climb back up onto the theater area once you drop in. I might have made that a one-way drop. I think they were worried people were going to miss that medicine chest, but I would just put the medicine chest downstairs, and then you wouldn't have missed anything by dropping down, and then you wouldn't have gotten stuck like I did.
Yeah, you're right. Same. I would just not allow. It's just waste of time in the end. It really messes with the flow of just playing this starting area.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing here with like the camera at the top.
Yeah. The other thing is one of the reasons why Resident Evil has the tank controls is because you need to be often like in the middle of combat. The camera angles might change because you're walking around the space, but they only have battles in places where the camera is fixed, right? So it means that they can have proper like non-tank controls that are a bit more intuitive. Because you never have to worry about pushing Aya in a direction and then the camera flipping around. It means that the camera angles aren't as dramatic as they are in Resident Evil. But, maybe it's worth the trade-off. Depends on how generous you are with handling tank controls. I'm fine, but probably a lot of other people will find that this game has aged better because it has normal, modern controls.
Yeah. I wonder if you can switch targets with each bullet. Let's say 1 bullet for one target and another bullet for another one.
Yeah.
Try that next time. Also, I wonder, because I was talking about like shooting different parts of the enemy's bodies, but for now you haven't had a chance to do that. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think that's something you can do at some point.
Well, Vagrant Story has that, so maybe you got them mixed up, or I find it weird that you lose time when you run out of bullets at the reload, but there's nowhere that I can see how many bullets you have left in the magazine.
I think maybe they live in your inventory. Have you checked that?
What, the remaining bullets? Yeah, so I know how many bullets I have remaining, but I just don't know when I have to reload in the middle of the fight.
Oh, right.
'Cause sometimes I reload between 2 bullets being fired, and then I lose time. Oh, I got a new gun, and I see I learned a new ability. I can scan enemies for their.
Right. You have a baton as well.
Okay. Well, let's switch to the better gun for now.
Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't remember. I thought the combat section in the start was a lot less than it actually is. There's quite a bit of it here, so that's good, I guess. So, try.
Yeah, here we go. Nice.
Yeah, because also this gun has like now 3 shots, right? That's why you can also do that. But also, I was Were you able to shoot that other enemy even though it was outside of the sphere?
Yeah, I was. I guess maybe my accuracy is lowered.
Maybe. There's a chest there.
Oh, I'm on a railing. This is kind of neat. It's a simple little thing, but I can see I'm fighting enemies with projectiles, but our movement is limited on these railways. It's kind of fun.
So all this was just to go around for them to show you that there's chests.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, especially in a game with random encounters. Sometimes this can feel a bit like a waste of time. But you know, the other thing is the economy, because they're random encounters, and you don't want to get stuck without bullets. They have to give you like after I kill each group of rats, I get more bullets, pretty much more bullets than I spent in combat, right? But that kind of kills the survival horror feeling. Like you're never going to be completely low on ammo because they always have to give you a buffer of extra bullets because they don't want to completely screw you over and not give you access to.
No, yeah, these games never go as far as that. They never go as far as Resident Evil. It still has this, creepy atmosphere, I guess, and setting, but I don't ever remember being so low on everything that I had to. Well, at some point you get spells as well, and you have that baton, so it will never be, she'll never be defenseless. Oh, you can actually heal as well. I think you can use that in combat.
Yeah. See, I noticed that there are two chests were kind of hidden in the environment here. You see them? Mm-hmm. I don't know why I needed to view them from above. I wonder if the pipeline for this game was the artists made pre-rendered environments and then the designers had to fill them with gameplay.
Who knows, man? Back in the 90s, Japanese development as well. Like they could have done it in so many ways. I wouldn't be surprised if it's if artist was the designer as well. I mean, it happens nowadays as well.
Yeah, I like these enemies. I like how each one, you have to think, these guys have the long range, so you want to kind of keep out of the range and fire at them. The rats have the fireballs, but they're slower moving, so you just don't want to get locked into too many shots at once. Each enemy feels, really distinct. You're applying different tactics against each one, which is completely opposite of most RPGs and even Resident Evil games.
Yeah, actually, the fireballs you mentioned is specifically like if you lock onto the enemy too early, while you're shooting, the fireballs are flying at you. So it encourages you to wait, dodge first, and then engage.
Mm-hmm. Should have saved.
Uh-oh. Well, you have a spell, you have a medicine, you should be fine.
Unless she's just gonna twirl her mustache and then leave.
She looks creepy, those hands.
She looks like a clown. I like that they gave me a save point, and then they put me in a room that was very clearly like, there's going to be a fight here, because you've got the big overhead camera, and then I'm assuming they've just... Oh, no, I said with the fight enemy. I was going to say, I thought they were doing like a fake out, making you think you had a fighter, but you didn't. But I got to fight this guy.
Oh, good. Good conclusion.
Yeah. There are two targets. The game is being very... Just in case you didn't know. See, this is where I feel like maybe the UI could highlight each target with a little cursor over each one. Then they wouldn't have to tell me that. It would just be apparent. You know what? I'm going to do my scan.
Nice. Scan that shit.
Just like Vagrant Story, right? Unknown HP. Easily tranquilized. Sensitive to heat. Okay.
I don't have that yet.
That's not helpful. I wanted to know if the tail was weaker than the...
Well, might as well shoot the tail, I guess.
I did 2 damage. I see. So regardless of how many shots... Oh my god! What the?
Oh,
What is happening?
you should heal. You should heal.
I'm stuck. I can't. My timer bar isn't filled up, and he's getting... Oh.
Heal.
So regardless of how many shots you fire, you still lose the same amount of time. I thought it might have been like FF10 or something, where different actions could cause your time bar to refill faster. Like, so there is maybe less of an incentive than I thought to fire less than your full stock of bullets, unless you really think you could... Oh my god, he's fast. He does so much damage. Even this projectile, I'm gonna die in the next hit.
Yeah. This game's no joke.
I'm losing turns just by healing.
Have you tried shooting
One
him
damage.
from behind?
Okay, I gotta hit him. I gotta hit his tail. Oh my god. Oh, he moved. Sometimes I'm doing
9
2 damage and sometimes 9.
Heal.
His space is pretty narrow. It's getting around him.
Oh, you see, from the back, you do a
Yeah.
lot of damage.
Yeah, it is. It wasn't really like you would think. Just shooting the tail would just do that, but it has to be from behind. There we go. All right, now we're getting somewhere.
Oh.
Okay.
Did you do that?
I guess that's. I'm in phase 2 now.
Oh.
I can't shoot his tail anymore.
Ah, okay. Maybe.
I don't know. I'm
Oh, yeah, you
outside
see,
the
if
ring.
it's not-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a Godzilla beam.
He looks like a Godzilla.
What?
Actually, this phase 2 is much easier. It doesn't have that charging attack.
Yeah. I'm running low on bullets here.
I think you're getting a bit. You need to get a bit closer when you shoot to him.
Yeah, you gotta get really close to do full damage. Nice.
Nice.
I didn't think I could do that.
Good job.
Slow. Cool. Kevlar vest.
Oh, there you go. It ends up being like a mishmash of, RPG elements and features Square was using back then, meshed with Resident Evil into this, and some Vagrant story into this kind of a solid bowl of things. I think overall it works out. I enjoyed the game. I think exploration is probably the weakest part of it, but there is that kind of trade-off where the combat is like a much bigger focus, and if you can enjoy that, I think you would enjoy this game. And also the story is pretty cool. I'm not gonna spoil for anyone watching and for you as well if you're gonna end up playing this at some point, but yeah, like it's based on a book, of course, so the source material is pretty strong, and you playing this game, you really want to know what happens. And yeah,
It's
Yeah, it's a cool game. It's got a lot of interesting ideas. It's almost inevitable that they're not all going to pan out. Am I going to stick with it? It's tough to say. I'm sort of ho-hum on this. I could probably play this a little longer, and before I really give it a decision of whether I'm going to stick with it or not. Because if it's a long game, if it's a challenging game, it's tough to say. But I like the vibe. I like what they're going for here. And like I said, there's a lot of unique things that you don't usually get out of either turn-based games, turn-based RPGs, or action horror games. In this game, it's a neat little cocktail.
All right, that was Parasite Eve, final game for the season. Ian, we're not going to talk about what games we're going to be playing next time because, we're going to keep it a mystery. We're just going to, the next season, we're going to jump in. But before that, I want to say that we're going to take a break. We're going to have holidays, just in general. We're going to, regroup, reevaluate how we do the podcast in general. I don't want to promise anything. We might end up doing a slightly different format. Anyone who's watching should follow us on the socials, and Polygonal Perspective will continue. In the meantime, between season 1 and 2, actually, we're planning to do a special project, a video project, and it will focus quite a lot more on game development and level design. So if you're interested in that, again, just follow us and watch the space, and it should be pretty cool. So if you wanted to learn a bit more about how we make games, it should be something interesting for you. And I just want to kind of thank everyone who watched us this season. We don't have a lot of viewers at all for now, but especially if you're somebody who stuck with us throughout the entire season, thank you. For me personally, it's not easy to put myself out there like this. It's not public speaking or anything, but even just recording something like this and then putting it out there for everyone to listen to is not the easiest thing for like an introvert such as myself. I know that Ian has a lot easier time with this in general, so I'm sure he's unfazed, but it was a challenge for me, but I'm still glad we did it, and I enjoyed just talking about games, really playing them. I end up playing and checking out games I would have probably never did if we didn't do this.
That's what it's all about, right? Playing and sharing cool games.
Yeah. So Polygonal Perspective will return after a break. In the meantime, new project. Look forward to that. Keep following us, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Yes, look forward to it, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.
Perfect.